Whew. All right. All right, everybody. All right. Oh, shit. We got 20. Oh, my God. 02657. Okay, first of all, can everyone hear me? Second of all, we have to thank 02657. Holy shit. Ah, fuck. I feel like this happened a little bit bad. Okay. 02657, thank you for the 20 gifted memberships. That is that is absolutely huge, man. I really, really appreciate it. As does everybody in chat. Abrar Ahmed, Cookie Mario, Billy Bob, Beat Gamer 99, Drims Mob, ZZ, Striker Virus, Ice Cream Gomez, Brian Field, Fing Fosh, Varp TM, Denilson Thomas, Richley, Angel Rees, Yokai Gota. All of you guys say thanks to 02657. Luke S, Fuyamato, Red Agrid, Harris, 8Baller10. I want all of you guys to say thank you to 02657 because that's really, really big. Thanks a lot, man. Really appreciate that. Was a really, really cool chapter. I have read the spoilers. I did have to read the spoilers. But like for me, this whole new Friday release schedule thing, it's pretty much throwing a lot of shit off because I have time scheduled to write scripts and stuff, so I'm fine with, like, I have to actually look at the spoilers and the raws more frequently. Normally I try to avoid a little bit, and usually chapters out and I can just read and write, but just to get the script going I have to look at the spoilers. So I do know what happens in the chapter. So if you're coming in here expecting a purely raw, blank, I don't know anything chapter reaction, I'm sorry to disappoint. I'll just be honest with you. I know what happens. All right, I don't know the actual dialogue and everything like that because I'm just looking at the raw scans. I saw on Reddit the text explanations of generally what's happening in the chapter, so I know the images. We're gonna read it. We're gonna find out that exact dialogue. Tofi 2000, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 16 months, man. Hey Max, I just read this chapter while high. Gonna not go to the gym just to hear you talk about it. Amazing chapter. Do people work out high? I cannot imagine working out high because I feel like if you drop weights, like how are you gonna do a bench press or like a squat? Like how are you gonna do that stuff high? Not that I do squats, because why would I ever do leg day? There's no point. But like, are you not concerned? Working out high. I guess if I haven't done it, I haven't done it. But maybe it feels really good. I don't know. But all right, yeah, let's take a look. I know the chapter is crazy. I know what happens. All right. Let me catch the supers before we get started, real quick. Let me catch the supers before we get started. We will start when we get the likes to 200. Actually, I should have said something higher than that. 200 is easy. Let's get to 100 first. Let's get the likes to 200, and we'll start the chapter. In the meantime, let me catch this stuff. 02657, before this said late. Alright. Then dropped like a sticker of some sort, then dropped something that called me a noob, and then gifted 20 memberships. So thank you 02657 for your contributions to the stream. Sheriff Laffy, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 18 months. I liked your Morjcast just now. Maybe, yeah, the Morjcast, for those of you who don't know, I just dropped the Morjcast before the stream, so I dropped it this morning. It's the podcast for Yonko tier members. If you want to listen to it, please go, you can try Yonko tier membership and give it a listen. This one was pretty substantive. I went pretty in-depth into debating the merits of the ranking of the Gorosei, because, we know the pentagram numbers, but then there's merits to the other argument I made, which was the planetary hierarchy, and I used some evidence from at least the spoilers I saw of this chapter to make that argument still. Maybe the numbers refer to the age of the Gorosei, says Sheriff Laffy. Ironically, the youngest looking Jupiter would be the youngest. Yeah, that's very, very possible. I talked about this a little bit at the end of last stream, but it's possible that the order in which they maybe got immortality surgery, you can maybe see a little bit of that in their age. Bugglebear, welcome to the Pirate King. Oh, okay. Thank you for joining Pirate King. There's, I want to, okay. Is now a good time? I'm gonna let the stream accumulate some more viewers, and then I'm gonna pitch something for the next Pirate King tier podcast that I think a lot of you might be interested in. So we'll see if people are interested. But I kind of want to do a special Pirate King tier podcast. Thanks for joining. The submissions for Pirate King tier podcast will happen next week. That's when it'll go up. And stay tuned in this stream. I'm going to explain some stuff we might be doing with the Pirate King podcast that I think a lot of people might be interested in. All right. Eamon Chadley says, Morj got the Larry the Lobster build, all chest, no legs. Okay, so I never wanted to be a a no leg day type of guy, but if you guys remember, I had an Achilles problem for the last 2 years, which is now pretty much fine. I had an Achilles problem for the last 2 years, so I literally couldn't do leg exercises. And then after a bit, I was like, why even do leg exercises, you know? Because there's no point. Is there? Like, what's the point of doing leg exercises? It's like, you know, you can just wear jeans, you know? You can wear pants. Nobody has to know. And if you want to say, like, oh, well, you want to be, like, functionally strong and stuff with squats and calf raises and all that shit and deadlift, like, you want to feel functionally strong, right? That's why you work out legs, right? I don't do that. I work out to look good. I don't work out to be functionally strong. You know how often I need to be strong in day-to-day? Like, I'm not a fucking construction worker. I don't need to do that. I don't actually need to lift stuff that often. Moving furniture, that's about as frequently as I need to actually lift things. That's it, and I can do that fine. I'm just like, why do people kill themselves doing so many squats and shit? You know? It's just work out to look good. That's the main benefit of it, you know? Alright. PenPal1058, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 16 months. W One Piece creator, what's your favorite Elder design and favorite Elder in general? Thank you very much. My favorite Elder design is, it's tricky because I feel like I even mentally underrate Saturn now because he got his own separate introduction first, so we got to see him first, and then we got used to his design, and then 4 other designs got dropped. So I'm kind of trying to think, like, okay, well, if they all got dropped at the same time, what would I think? So Saturn's a little difficult for me to evaluate. I think either Venus, Juro, or Mars look the coolest to me. It's either Venus, Juro, or Mars. Venus, Juro, we got to see him work a little bit more in hybrid form, and I think that looks really badass, so maybe I'm leading Venus, Juro. I'd say maybe Venus, Juro. Favorite Elder in general, I think we just haven't gotten to know them enough individually to really say, because, again, if you go back and read their old dialogue, a lot of it's just very homogenous, very, very uniform. They all speak in a very similar manner. They almost finish each other's sentences, have the same train of thought. It's pretty bizarre. It's like, if you go back and read some of their things, it's like they're finishing each other's sentences. It feels like one continuous train of thought. The hive mind theory is still very, very possible, in my opinion, for the Gorosei. So I don't think they've done enough to differentiate themselves from me just yet. It really is just design and ability so far. So yeah. Ricky Servants is Morj. You need strong legs to keep running away from the Wana video. I was thinking that once my ACL is better, I'll get back into doing leg exercises, but now that I started doing a little bit, like, I'm trying to get into just doing boxing as a hobby, basically, on the side. And I feel like that naturally works out your legs pretty well. Obviously not the same as doing dedicated lifts, etc. But I do feel like it's a pretty good leg workout, and, you know, I think that'll help over time. All right. Let me catch up the last few supers, and then we'll just get into it. Behenor, thanks a lot. All the characters keep commenting on how strong and weird the Gorosei haki is. Really makes me wonder about Imu's haki now that Warcury has... You know what? Wait, I should just read this. I should read the chapter. I shouldn't catch up. Let me read the chapter. I'll do the chapter live reaction and then catch up because I want to be able to give good input. Again, I know everything that happens this chapter, but I don't know the actual dialogue. Like, I've seen what happens and I've seen the bullet point outlines. So, it's not a pure, honest live chapter reaction, but I don't know the details of what characters are saying, what they're thinking during all of this. All right, getting into it. Chapter reaction starting now. All right. Oh, this is a beautiful color spread. I love this. Oh, whoa, look at this. Are those French fries? Am I crazy? Why are there French fries in... These are French fries. Why are they all eating French fries out of a... That's so... What goes on in Oda's brain, man? One, this is just a really beautiful... So they're floating up on jellyfish. Normally I don't talk this much about color spreads, but this one's a really, really great one to me. Yeah, just like the composition, the way everything's flowing up. How does he think of this? Like, so everyone's gonna be floating on jellyfish up through ambiguous water, ocean, whatever. Lots of sun rays kind of flowing down, and they're gonna be eating French fries out of a cup. That's so random. It's got Bonnie, Kuma, and Vegapunk. I like that a lot. This is what actually this, you know, the color spread tier list that we did as an extended stream several months back, maybe towards the beginning of this year. Again, one of my favorite, no, or maybe it was last year, probably end of last year, second half of last year. One of my favorite stream topics ever, for sure. And this one would rank very highly if we were to throw this in the hat. Okay, so Mars successfully broke through. Oh, he successfully broke through. That's a pretty big deal. Can anyone remind me who else has anyone successfully broken through the barrier so far? No, right? I guess not. Let's get the stream likes up to 200 real quick. So Mars breaking through is kind of a big deal that he can just do that. This is pretty nuts. What in the world? This hockey is unreal. Oh shit. So that's okay. So Gorosei hockey is some next level shit, right? The fight's over. So he says this hockey is unreal. I don't think Jinbei's ever had a reaction like that before. You've never seen. I don't think we've ever seen Jinbei just stunned like that, and he's been around for Big Mom's hockey releases. That's pretty nuts. Okay. So I want clarification because I saw the images of this. I'm looking at Zoro in the Luchi situation. Zoro is saying huff huff. But don't worry, it's still a low diff, right? So he says huff huff. He's still standing. He's just saying grr. She's just saying grr. Jinbei, if you got him yet, I'm on it. Come on, Zoro, you've already won. Alright, Fisherman Karate. Sorry about this, Luchi. Wait, what's he doing? Does he hit him or not? Sorry about the... Wait, so Luchi is kind of... Okay, I see. So it looks like Luchi's kind of starting to lumber forward, but Jinbei's just like, nah, come on, just let it be. So he does this move. This is such a cool panel. Mars is so sick. His transformation is so sick. He looks so menacing. Dude, just seeing Luchi stunned, like, looking up like this is amazing. Rob Luchi of Cypherpole, ages 0, where is York? God damn. That is, like, Luchi looks intimidated and terrified. You have to hurry, what is that thing? She's still tied up. Honestly, I fucking forgot about York. I mean, I know that she's, like, a key part of the arc, but I just stopped keeping track of where the fuck she even is. Zoro and Jinbei. Okay. 5 more strats up there, 2 Vegapunks. They're preparing to escape. I honestly forget the layout of everything. I know that we're going to get a look at the layout this chapter. 85 CP Cypherpole agents, 4 Seraphim. Okay, so the Seraphim could get back in on the action. Splendid work. I have no further queries. That's... Dude, Mars look... Like, think of Mars's human form. It's so fucking unassuming. This is insane. Look at him. Oh, that's a badass quote, what Mars just said. It is hard to single out a lone insect when you're exterminating the hive. Because in the spoilers, like the spoiler descriptions, I knew that Mars refers to Kaku as an insect. I like the phrasing here quite a bit. Again, might be TCB phrasing, so I don't know how Viz accurate it is. Viz is probably going to make it something fucking stupid as fuck, but let's see. Giant old timers, it's really you. Okay, so it's established that the Giants 100% know the full details of Nika, the Sun God. Didn't Shanks tell them something about this? Because Shanks seemed... Never mind. I don't know how much Shanks would even... Whatever. Warkyri's like, Giants. Most unpalatable complication. Okay, so Dory and Brogy are kind of maybe implying they're past their prime a little bit now. I don't know. Okay, so Sanji told them. Sanji told them at some point. Who knows when? Okay, okay. I'm looking at the layout of the map now because I've actually really needed this. I personally think that when Oda pulls out the chibi markers all over the map, I always feel like this things get just messy. But let's see. There's not too many characters. Let's. I'm sure we can keep it together. Okay. So Nami and Usopp's group are up top. All right. Luffy's group is down below. Up top is where Morj is going, as I understand. Luffy's group is down below. Sanji and Vegapunk down below. Bonnie down below. They're all trying to get to Elbath's ship. Alright, seems simple enough. Okay, and Sanji and Vegapunk are closer to the ship. Frankie and Bonnie are even closer. Okay, cool. I wonder if the Thousand Sunny is going to be placed on the ship. So it seems like there's not going to be any coup d'event escape. It's going to be a giant ship escape. Okay. Alright, let's get to the action. Man, you know the strength of between like Hajrudin versus like Dory and Brogy? It's kind of hilarious. Oh shit. I saw the scans of the Conqueror's Hockey release, but this is like big. Like even Dory and Brogy are like kind of getting blown back. Holy shit, yeah. It does live up to the scale that I saw in the scans. This is probably the largest like Conqueror's Hockey flex that we've seen. This or Shanks. It's tricky to compare because Shanks's was more targeted. Like when Shanks released his Conqueror's Hockey, it's not like he was blowing up like the whole island of Wano, but it did travel a long distance specifically to get to Green Bull, probably a further range than what Warcury is showing here. But Warcury's is more like a just general Conqueror's Hockey release that's like it seems to scale the entire island, which is the largest like area like broad area I guess effect release of Conqueror's Hockey that we've ever seen. Like Kaido and Big Mom were not doing this when they had their moments. Damn, the Giants are strong. Still don't know exactly how strong they are. Damn, they took care of Warcury. Also, let's get the stream likes up to 200 real quick. Okay. I saw in the scans this does a huge explosion. Alright, so let's see what Luffy does with the baseball bat. So he takes the tree, chews it up, paint. Okay, so the paint is like... I've seen debate of like how much Luffy's ability is Toon Force versus how much is him just really expanding his rubber effects to other stuff, but this is clearly like he's pulling paint out of thin air, right? And he's doing all this really fast because Saturn shot all this and Luffy's doing this at extreme speed. It's kind of like cartoon logic, right? Where kind of like time can like for a gag, like things can kind of like time logic doesn't really apply for the gag to take place. It's probably why Luffy's again, I think that's why Gear 5th is low-key extremely fast as well. Like that's why he can capture Kizaru and such while Kizaru's moving at the speed of light. Alright. Yeah, so Saturn has more up his sleeve than we thought. Just looking at the explosions. Okay, and Jupiter's back too. Okay. We may be running, but I still count this as a victory. Yeah, that's what this kind of feels like the direction of the arc is going. Ah, and vice admirals. Cool, cool, cool. Oh shit. Okay, no. Okay, I thought Morj was cornering Bonnie for some reason, but it's York. York doesn't even know that these are the Gorosei. So Vegapunk, that means, never had that information. My wounds run deep. Yeah, okay, Kizaru's definitely still mourning Vegapunk here. Definitely still mourning Vegapunk here. We can revisit the mental nerf argument. Something way bigger than a giant just showed up on the north. Okay, so the ancient robot is supposed to be way bigger than a giant. Okay, and I knew about this ancient giant at the end. Alright, everybody. Chapter reaction time is over. Let's move back to the regular release. I'm changing it to discussion now. One Piece chapter 1100 discussion. Okay. Or do I keep it as live reaction? I don't know. Whatever. It's I don't know if I'm supposed to change it or not. All right, guys. Let me refresh and catch up on the supers. This was a really, really great chapter. I wish I didn't actually like see the scans for all of this. It's I mean, fucking I don't know. Pretty insane. King J says Luffy just forged a black blade. Okay. All right, let's see. Okay. Yeah, Behenort, we covered this. Yeah, characters keep commenting on how strong and weird the Gorosei haki is. Really makes me wonder about Imu's own haki now that Warkiri has Conqueror's haki. Yeah, Warkiri doesn't even just have Conqueror's haki. He has, like, some next level, like, some of the most impressive Conqueror's haki ever. Mars, the reaction that he elicited from Jinbei, that's pretty insane as well. Jinbei doesn't usually just react like that. Yeah, Imu's Conqueror's haki has probably got to be way high. I thought that Imu would probably be more Devil Fruit dependent, but it looks like he's likely to have some of the best Conqueror's haki ever. Old Green Knees, thanks. Zorslander, Luchi Stocks, Life is Crazy. I don't know about Zorslander. Like, to me, this I think Zoro's off to do more important stuff from here. Luchi fight, it is what it is. I still don't think Luchi looked bad at the end of all this. Like, it wasn't. You know, Luchi was still ready to keep going. He was just mostly done for. And with Zoro, it's clear that he had to use effort to defeat Luchi, but not his strongest stuff necessarily. I think that that's fine. Ehsan Nazir, thanks for the 5. First time joining a Morj stream from the start, and I'm disappointed you weren't late. Well, the whole chapter situation was so messy. I really hope the chapters come out a little bit earlier going forward, or at least we have some sort of estimate on when we can kind of expect them in the future. Because I was ready to cancel the stream and move it to tomorrow. So I was already in the process of doing other things and kind of moving on with the day. Then I realized the chapter's up. Obviously happy the chapter's up, but then I'm like, okay, fuck, so I gotta get back into chapter mode, basically. So, you know. Also supering to encourage you to stream during European time. Hey, look, if the chapters are coming out midday, or if the chapters are coming out Fridays, I will be streaming, around this time, like either 3 p.m., 4 p.m. EST on Fridays, basically. Joel's, thanks a lot. Joel's, thanks. Dorian Brogy stronger than Zoro now. I mean, that's not crazy, right? Because, like, Dorian Brogy, from what we understand, like, it seems like they're being portrayed as up. I don't know if they're stronger than, like, don't take this as anything from me. I'm just saying, like, it wouldn't be crazy if Dorian Brogy are stronger than Zoro. We're still finding out how strong they are. They are legendary pirates. They're probably the strongest giants that we know of. Or, like, the strongest giants that have ever been established in the One Piece world, which is something significant. And, I am kind of rolling with this thought, which is, like, maybe Dory and Brogy together are comparable to, like, a Yonko like Big Mom. Kind of because, like, Big Mom does. This is stuff that I've seen people say, and I kind of do agree with it, which is like Dorian Brogy's signature move, the Elbaf Cannon. They do that together. Big Mom kind of does that by herself, so it seems like, I don't know. It's very rough, vague scaling. We don't know how they are with haki and everything, but we have nothing. We have no real measuring sticks. The Gorosei are new too, so it's hard to measure the giants against the Gorosei. So, I mean, they seem strong. I'm thinking like maybe the Dorian Brogy together kind of represent the equivalent of one Yonko. I don't know. I don't know where people stand on Dorian Brogy. I don't feel very strongly about them either way. Maybe I'm overestimating them. Maybe I'm underestimating them. I don't know. Jensen Peters, thanks for the 2. Hi, Morjipu. Have you watched other new live actions? No. There's I've not watched Avatar because people told me it's not that good. I didn't watch Yu Yu Hakusho, and I said, like, looking at the trailer of Yu Yu Hakusho, that it does not look good. It takes itself too seriously. One Piece worked by not taking itself seriously, and people were like, nah, Morj, it's gonna be really good. Retro Records, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 18 months, man. Hey, Warge, Oda just had to drop a banger before a 3-week break. How do you think the themes of this arc relate to the Gorosei, or are they just a bonus? So I have, in the Egghead, when I do a full Egghead breakdown, I can talk about how the Gorosei play into it quite a bit. But the Gorosei are very much, what do you call? And, like, they're looking down on humans, and their views on human nature kind of, and the nature of just all creatures that aren't celestial dragons, essentially, and they lump them all in that same group. I think that's essentially what their undoing is over the course of this arc, which is people refusing to obey and like, acting in accordance with human nature, which makes things actually much more difficult for them. I'm going to change this to discussion so people know what they're coming in for. Chapter before a really great chapter to drop before a 3-week break. Still mourning the fact that we have a 3-week break, but you know, that might just be a little bit more common going forward. I don't know. It just might, Oda taking longer breaks. We might just have to get used to it. Stanley Barton, thanks for the 5. Elbaf Giants beat by Mr. 3 and barely above Gear 2 Luffy. Marine Giant Squad all one-shot by Gear 3 Luffy and casually by Whitebeard. Morj thoughts. I think that, Dorian Brogy... Okay, so if you go back and look at Dorian Brogy in Little Garden, right? We can assume that Oda didn't have a clear idea of how strong characters would get. That's number 1. 2, they were damaged by, by Mr. 3 cheating and everything like that, right? Like the internal injuries and all of that was caused. And then 3, so, like, at some point, Mr. 3 has them in, like, locked up with sort of candle chains, like wax chains, which are, I believe, like, similar strength to steel. I'm just thinking about, there's no way I can think about it that, like, really makes sense for why they were able to do what they... I'm trying to think about it. I'm like, yeah, there's just nothing. I can't make it. Oda just didn't have, I don't think Oda had a clear idea of how crazy things would get. But even then, even if back then he was like, I'm going to save them for endgame of the story, he must have known around then that, like, endgame of the story would be, like, way stronger than what Mr. 3 is doing. I mean, Mr. 3 never fights them and beats them straight up, right? It's more like he catches them by surprise, imprisons them, sabotages them. Still, they should have been able to get it. I don't know. I don't fucking know. Bunfagum, thanks for the 10. Morj, thoughts on Zoro and Luffy representing 2 tonal extremes of One Piece. It feels like Zoro's fights are becoming more brutal, the opposite for Luffy. This was super evident this chapter. I mean, like, normally their fights are the same tone. If you look at, like, Zoro versus Mr. 1, Luffy versus Crocodile. If anything, Zoro versus Kaku was significantly more lighthearted than Luffy versus Luchi. Zoro versus... well, I guess that's the last major Zoro fight for him for a bit. But, like, Luffy versus Doflamingo, Luffy versus Katakuri, these are very serious fights. It's really just recent, right, that Zoro, Zoro's fights have been the same tone for the most part throughout the series, and Luffy's fights have been the same tone as well. It's really just recently with Luffy versus Kaido, and then Luffy recently. Like, now that Luffy's gotten Gear 5th, now his fights are more comedic. So... I don't know. They represent 2 tonal extremes, I guess, at the moment, but historically that hasn't been the case. Like, if you're looking at the first 1,000 chapters of One Piece, if anything, Luffy's fights represented the most extreme tone, even above Zoro's, Like, Luffy versus Crocodile, Luffy versus Luchi, those are the most dramatically serious fights from start to finish, right? Luffy versus Crocodile, I'm talking about round 3, not round 2, which is deliberately joke-based, but... round 3, the actual final fight, So we'll have to wait and see if, like, Luffy's fights adjust back to the tone that it once was. We have already seen, like, I'm not too concerned. We've already seen that Gear 5th can get really serious. We've seen that Gear 5th can be drawn and drawn and done in a serious tone. I think we've at least I've gotten enough like hints over the course, or like little bits of that over the last few chapters that like after the Kaido fight, I wasn't convinced because I was like, well, he just gets like a little bit serious at the end with Bajrangan, right? This is, if you read Luffy versus Kaido in Gear 5th and compare it to even Gear 4th Luffy versus Kaido, like a few chapters before, the tone is drastically different. If you compare it to any previous if you compare it to any previous significant Luffy fight, Gear 5th Luffy versus Kaido is a totally different tone, right? So I wasn't convinced by Luffy just getting angry just for Bajrangan. I was like, that's still nowhere close to what it once was. But now we're seeing bits, like, a bit more of it, right? Like, maybe not this chapter, but Luffy versus Saturn and Kizaru. We're seeing that side. I think it just takes more to get Gear 5th Luffy there, to get him actually angry and serious. But we've seen that once he does, like, a different side of him shows up and he fights in a different way. So I just don't think that maybe that's not for right now. Maybe not an Egghead, but in some future arc. Akainu, maybe Emu. Blackbeard, I don't think Gear 5th will even be as much of a factor because of Blackbeard's abilities, but, you know. Yeah. I'm saying thanks for the 5. Yo, Morj, congrats on the wife. What are the chances that Emu himself teleports to Egghead the same way the Gorosei did if they can't finish the job? That would be so fucking cool if that happened. That would be amazing. I feel like that's almost like too much of a dream scenario for that to happen, but it would be insane. It would be one of the coolest things that could possibly happen for sure. Zolden, thanks for the 5. I love Warcury's design after this chapter. Gives me Ganon in his boar form vibes. That's a really good way to put it. Ganon in his boar form. Yeah. If you guys have played Twilight Princess, it kind of reminds me of the boar form from that a little bit more than in Ocarina of Time, but or maybe you're thinking of a 2D Zelda, I don't know. Would you be able to talk about Tears of the Kingdom towards the end of the stream? I would love to, because I'm still playing that game, and it looks like I'm going to be playing that game for like another 50 hours or some shit. Like, there's still so much more to do. I've done 3 of the sages, and I'm really I'm not even moving over to the desert yet to do the 4th sage. I'm still exploring the eastern side of the map. Bahanor, thanks a lot. Gorosei might keep taking hits, but those 2 last chapters are doing a great job at hyping them up due to their narrative portrayal and new powers. Yeah, the thing is, like, it's a little tricky because they are clearly really, really strong. I'm going to do some polls in a second to see where people are kind of placing them. Also, let's get the stream likes up to 300 real quick. The Gorosei are clearly really, really fucking strong. It's just that it's hard to... I think when characters, like, when a huge portion of their power is just, like, being impervious to damage, it gets difficult to scale them, because it's kind of like, well, how strong do you... like, the Seraphim, for example, right? We had this situation with the Seraphim before. It was like, well, they're getting their asses kicked for the most part, but it's not really doing anything to them, so how do you really scale that, you know? With the Gorosei, they also seem to be offensively really, really high level as well, with Conqueror's Haki, with Saturn's attacks and everything like that. But still, like, Oda's definitely flexing that, like, okay, characters can fuck them up for a moment, but it doesn't do anything to them. So it's hard to place them. Like, where do you place their level of difficulty of defeating a Seraphim at? Or not Seraphim, Gorosei at. But yeah, I think the Haki emphasis throughout this chapter, between what Jinbei's reaction to Mars and Warcury's Haki flex, those are, like, to me, that signifies top tier territory. Like, Jinbei doesn't react to, like, Jinbei saying that's unreal Haki, that's really out of character for him to react in a way like that, to be honest. And then, obviously, Warcury's feat, it's kind of, there's nothing really like that in the story that anyone else has done before. Again, the closest you have is Shanks. I'm sure Shanks probably is better Haki than Warcury. I'm just saying in terms of what's been shown, right? Like, what characters have actually done, right? Shanks sent Haki over a really long distance, and that scared Green Bull. But it was very targeted, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like all of Wano is being like nobody else was getting scared, like nobody else was being affected by that Haki, you know? Like, Shanks had a very targeted range, right? Which is still crazy impressive. You could argue more impressive than anything Warcury just did. I'm just saying when I'm counting, like the general Haki flexes, like when Kaido began unleashing his Haki in, like, chapter 1041 and kind of blowing Luffy back, or like Big Mom releasing her Haki at the tea party when the caramel photo was destroyed, right? like those general hockey flexes of just like releasing Conqueror's Haki, Warcuries is clearly on a much higher scale than either of those two. So I don't know how much to read into that. That might just be Oda just wanting to draw hockey more nowadays. I don't know. Really hard to place the Gorosei at the moment. Der Boppler, thanks for the 5. Joe Morj, on your last video, I got my first top comment. Top comment. Pretty proud of that, but nobody I actually know reads One Piece, so they do not get the joke. Top comment. What is top comment like the most upvoted? Is that like? Let me see. What did you say? I don't know. People competed for top comment. Oh wait, I just opened up my own stream. Hold on. Fuck. Where's this shit?
Interestingly, the two most.
In the meantime, I'm looking. Cigar Verk, thanks a lot, man. Oda hasn't drawn a villain wound like Luchi gruesome. Yeah, it is. Yeah, Luchi got pretty fucked up. I think it's pretty cool that Luchi's still going. Okay, so Der Boppler on the latest video says, one more hint that Dragon will fight Topman is that last chapter all the Gorosei did stuff, but Topman stood there doing nothing, which is Dragon's signature move. Oh, you made that comment. That's fucking funny. That is a funny comment. He did something this chapter. One of the things I was saying is that I talked about in last video that I thought that Warcurie might be the strongest of the Gorosei. I do find it interesting that Warcurie is the one that Oda used to really flex Conqueror's Haki and like that huge display of Conqueror's Haki. And then on top of that, so first chapter, 1110, where all the Gorosei are shown like on the battlefield and everything. Oda has the other 4 Gorosei take action, like Saturn's fighting, Jupiter's fighting, Venus George taking out Pacifista, Mars is attacking the lava phase, right? And then he kind of saves this next chapter for Warcurie to be the main focus and Warcurie doing his stuff. So I do wonder if that's indicative that maybe Warcurie is a bit stronger than the others. Maybe not a bit stronger, like just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Warcurie might be number 1. I don't know if that's possible or if that's just... I do acknowledge the other possibility that Jupiter's the strongest. It's just that's not what it looks like so far, but maybe next chapter Jupiter flexes something. I don't know. I just do think it's interesting framing-wise that Warcurie's the one that kind of got saved for last to flex his stuff in this chapter, whereas everybody else kind of did their thing last chapter. Yeah, continuing on. Okay, English 1D1, thanks for the 5. 3 also blocked a blow from Sengoku and stopped Magellan. His fruit is just OP for structural strength. I'll take the Magellan thing. 3's Candle Wall, I'm pretty sure broke against Sengoku. I might be wrong, I'd have to look it up, but that's true. But I don't think it's even I don't think it's even that okay. Let me clarify. From what we were told, when he goes into his Candle Champion, like, when the wax is painted by Miss Golden Week, at that point, it becomes as strong as steel or something. So, it's ordinarily not even as strong as steel. Or about, I might be misquoting, but that's what I remember. Like, he made that form, and he's like, this is as strong as steel, so my take is that, well, then it's normally not that as strong as steel, right? So, it's strong, but I don't think it's that strong, you know? I just don't think it's so strong that the Giants would not be able to break out from it. I think it's just a early days rough power scaling type stuff, you know? 02657, thanks for the 2. What will you do during this new Void month? Wano? ? I honestly think that I could. Don't hold me to this, but there's a solid shot that I can finish the Wano video during this month. Don't hold me to this, because at the same time, for me, it's a great window because I have to move next week, and as anybody who's moved knows, there's a little, like, it's just a huge pain in the ass, and it takes a fucking long-ass time to get everything in place. So I'm happy that there's no chapter next week, to be honest, just because I get some free space to do my move. Hopefully that can be wrapped up soon. And then, yeah, I will get a lot more free time next month, so over the course of this next few week break, maybe I'll finish the Wano video. Don't hold me to that, but I think that there's a solid good shot. Tom, thanks to the 2. Usopp mentions Devil Fruit Wheels in chapter 184. Pretty cool. Usopp mentions that? What does he say? 184? That's got to be during the fight with the mole people, or Mr. Four Duo. Oh, I see. He's just joking. I mean, I don't think he actually knows anything. Uh, yeah, I mean, he's gonna talk about how can it? It's not. Oh, it's not as if the devil fruit has a will of its own. Oh, interesting, interesting. I mean, he says that, and maybe that's supposed to be something that he's incorrect on. Also, let's get the stream likes up to 300 real quick. All right. Bunfagum, thanks for the 5. We need to have a serious chat about Top Man's Hockey Blast being stronger than Shanks's. Gorosei stocks are so high. I do think this chapter does make the Gorosei look really good. Let me do a quick poll. First I want to do a poll. Strongest Gorosei ? Valkyrie, Venus, Juro, Jupiter. I'm just gonna assume that it's not Saturn. Let's do this first. Oh, whoops! I included Saturn. Let me close that. Let me do it one more time. Who do we think is the strongest? Strongest Gorosei. I think no matter how it is, I think Venus Juro is second personally. Because if you go by the pentagram numbers, then it would be Venus Juro is number 2. And if you go by the planet order, then Venus Juro is number 2. You know. I mean, Mars looked pretty sick this chapter. So maybe it's not the planet order, and maybe it's not the pentagram number. Maybe those things are just arbitrary. Maybe Mars is the strongest. I don't know. He has one of the coolest designs. I'm on the Valkyrie train. I'm on the Valkyrie train personally. Okay. And now, based on what Valkyrie just did, let's pretend Valkyrie's the strongest, right? How do we feel that someone like Valkyrie or I don't think Saturn's quite up there, personally. I don't think Saturn's gonna do so hot against like Kaido or something like that. Kaido or Shanks, personally, right? I like, if you want to hear my scale right now, I feel like Saturn is probably somewhere around Kizaru's level, I feel. And I feel like maybe give or take, maybe Saturn's a bit above, maybe he's a bit below. I don't really want to get into the nitty-gritty of that. I would like to see a little bit more action before we get into that. I do feel like someone like Valkyrie, just based on the Conqueror's Hockey display, based on the possibility that he's the strongest of the Gorosei, I lean towards him maybe being more in like the Kaido Shanks Big Mom territory. You know what I mean? Like, William says Top Man having Conquerors puts him above for now. Oh, I think they all have Conquerors, because if you look at the chapter that Saturn appears, chapter 1090, 94, 93. If you look at the chapter that Saturn appears, maybe it's 95. Fuck, where's this shit? Yeah, look at the chapter that Saturn appears, chapter 1094. No, maybe it's the next chapter, 1095. Yeah, if you're looking at 1095, so look at the start of 1009. So look at the end of 1094 when Saturn summoned and everything like that, and then look at 1095. If you look at the start of 1095, the Marines are running away because there's streaks of Conqueror's Hockey coming out from where Saturn just appeared. We know it's Conqueror's Hockey because, like, that's just the way Saturn's not doing any move, right? So Conqueror's Hockey, like, you don't have... Conqueror's Hockey is the only one where you can be, like, releasing Hockey, and there's going to be an effect, like Black Lightning or something coming out. No one just standing around with Armament Hockey is releasing... Like, Armament Hockey, you see sparks and stuff, but it's only when somebody's, like, pulling back for a move or a punch or something, like, right? This is Saturn just standing and existing, having been summoned, and there's big streaks of lightning coming out that the Marines are seeing from a distance. So that's got to be Conqueror's Hockey, because Armament Hockey is just never depicted like that. So I believe if even Saturn has Conqueror's Hockey, then they've all got to have Conqueror's Hockey, you know? Yeah, King J says Morj showed Conqueror's Hockey today. Saturn showed it in his intro. Did Mars show Conqueror's Hockey, or did Jinbei just sense it or something? I gotta look at that again. Tist says, I get the hockey and all, but they can't touch Luffy or the Giants. This showing is not Yonko level. See, it's hard to say, because, like, let's just look at this chapter, Valkyrie versus Luffy, right? Because right now it's, for Valkyrie and, like, let's say if it was just Valkyrie and Luffy, we don't know how it would have gone. Because the first thing that happens is Valkyrie releases, yeah, we see enough hockey coming out from Mars's thing that it's probably Conqueror's Hockey, what he does at the start of this chapter. if you look at just Warcury and Luffy, right? Warcury releases Conqueror's Haki. Luffy goes flying back. Um, flying back. All of his stuff is blown off from it. Pretty insane. And then Warcury's attacking Luffy. We don't know how that would have gone. Like, Luffy saying, "Uwa." Like, maybe, like, it's Luffy. I'm sure he would have figured a way out or something like that. But we don't know. Dory and Broggy step in, and together they're able to block it and then push him back, we have no way to really tell how, like, just Warcury versus Luffy would go right now. It's Luffy. I'll always have my money on Luffy. But I'm just saying, like, you can't really compare, like, it's not like he's getting to fight Luffy one-on-one like Kaido versus Luffy one-on-one or something like that. At the very least, from what it looks like, Luffy was somewhat taken aback by Warcury's level of power this chapter. But, Alright, let me see. Warcury... Okay, I'm gonna do another poll. Okay. Warcury level. So this doesn't reflect my power scaling, okay? I'm just gonna give a broad umbrella of, like, Shanks, Kaido / Big Mom level, okay? Then I'm gonna say, above admirals, but below the 3. Kizaru level. Okay, this doesn't reflect my power scaling. I'm just curious what people would call it, okay? So, like, I'm adding in an option that says Warcury could be above admirals, but below Yonko. Now, some people might be like, no, Yonko and admirals are the same thing. That's fine. In that case, vote something different. I'm just providing that option. Okay, does that make sense? I'm just providing an option. I'm just curious what people think. Also, let's get the stream likes up to 300 real quick. Billy Bob says Law used Conqueror's Haki to undo the Devil Fruit. That wasn't Conqueror's Haki. No, it's just Haki. I could have given an option that was, like, above Shanks, Kaido, Big Mom level. I feel like that's way too soon to say just yet. Okay, so most people have him above Kizaru, at the very least. And then some people are putting him Yonko level. And then some people are putting him, like, maybe just short of Yonko level. That seems where the majority of people have him at. Okay, that's interesting. Alright. For me, it's too early to call. I think he and the Gorosei need to do a little bit more before I'm like, yeah, they're definitely Shanks, Kaido, Big Mom level. But, strictly speaking, I would say that at least what he has shown is something that none of those 3 have shown in terms of Conqueror's Haki display. I do believe that in terms of straight up Conqueror's Haki, he is definitely above Kaido and Big Mom. It's just that Conqueror's Haki isn't everything, right? I just don't see an argument for Kaido and Big Mom being above him in Conqueror's Haki, because, like, the display is just on a totally different level, They just never had it like that from anything we saw. Again, but Haki isn't everything, right? I also think that Shanks is better Haki than Kaido and Big Mom, but, like, Kaido and Big Mom have other shit, right? They've got their durability, they've got Devil Fruits, Kaido's a really tough physical fighter, endurance, all that shit. Liquid Richard says 800-year-old immortal yokai greater than Yonko. Yeah, I mean, you could look at it like... it's something I kind of talk in the latest video that's going to come out, like, next week, but, like, at the end of it, like, we might have to get used to the idea that the Gorosei are just, maybe they're ancient beings or something at this point, and so for them, like, it would just be kind of natural that they have, that they might be stronger than a lot of the... like, for them, like, a lot of these new characters are just rookies that popped up, but at the same time, that might be overrating them, I think. I think it's just too early to call. All right, let's keep going. Bunfagum, I think we just talked about this. We need to have a serious chat about Top Man's Hockey Blast being greater than Shanks's. Gorosei stocks are so high. I think I just talked about that in general, basically. It's the largest general area of effect Conqueror's hockey display that we've ever seen, right? By far. There's not anything really even close. We kind of didn't even really realize that Conqueror's hockey could be of that scale before this. But Shanks is probably more long distance than what Warcury did. I think he just had it more targeted towards Green Bull. So I'm not going to be sitting here being like, yeah, Warcury's is definitely better than what Shanks could do. I don't know. Bingle the Yoop, thanks for the 5. I really feel like Luchi's Gur could be supporting what I said last chapter about him going full Impel Down Guard. Yeah, you did mention that. Maybe he does do that, but I think we passed the window for that happening. Like, he deactivated his form. 02657, thanks a lot. How resentful would Zolo be about Jinbei meddling? I don't think resentful at all, especially not once he sees that there's bigger fish to fry, you know? Because, like, even Jinbei's like, look, you won the fight, let's keep going, you know? Nerve Aim V-Maker, thanks to the 10. Do I think Candle Chains could hold Kaido? No. Not even, I don't think at all. I don't think Candle Chains could hold, like, Luffy, post-time, like, I don't think the Candle Chains could hold, I don't think the Candle Chains could fucking hold Jack. Like, you know, like, forget even, you can keep going down and down the list. I don't think Candle Chains could fucking hold Horty. You know, roided up Horty. Let's just say Oda's not good with power scaling. He's great with everything else, but he adjusts power levels for what's most dramatic in the moment. Yeah, I would agree. I mean, sometimes it's just what's convenient, you know? Like, again, like, Beppo managed to get away from fucking Van Augur, who can teleport and snipe, and Blackbeard, who can suck anybody that he needs to, like, toward, like, who has literally a power that sucks characters towards him, you know? But Beppo still got away, you know? Zoro took an attack that, like, broke all of his bones and still kept going. And, like, everything he took against King, but then, like, one stab from Killer, Kamazo, like, that had him knocked out, you know? It's just, I think there's just going to be natural inconsistencies. Sometimes things just have to happen. Romajin, welcome to the Yonko. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for joining, man. Oh, I forgot. I'll tell you guys about the Pirate King Tier podcast in a little bit, once we get to, like, what I want to do for that next shortly. Maybe once we get to, like, we'll see. A little bit more, a little bit further in the stream. Maybe like 15 minutes. Zols, thanks for the 5. Hey, Morj, much love from Maryland. I'm a Maryland native. I grew up in Maryland. Do you believe the way to damage the Gorosei is power-up based or conditional based, like King with his flames? I don't fucking know, man. It's really interesting. I really don't know. Maybe the solution for each of them is that they got to be pushed into the ocean. But I have no idea. Maybe it's extreme Conqueror's hockey or something like that. But then I'm just like, that would really narrow the list of who's even allowed to fight a Gorosei. It's actually baffling. It's not the same as the Logia situation. Like, pre-time skip, way before we really understood hockey, it was kind of like, how do you beat each Logia? Like, it led to a lot of interesting hypotheticals. But with the Gorosei, we still don't know a weakness, you know? Maybe they have to each be contained, but that's kind of boring. Kanal Prabhat, thanks a lot. I think it is because Dory was down due to alcohol bomb exploding inside his stomach, and Brogy was emotionally destroyed because he had killed Dory. So I would agree with that, but then something else happens, which is that they get their will back during the finale of the arc. So, like, Zoro's talking to Brogy, I believe, and he's like, look, like, I don't know, he reignites his warrior spirit and is like, look, let's get out of here together and just, like, you know, and do this or whatever. And Brogy still can't really get out, I guess, because his hand is, like, has a giant sword through it. So their solution is like, well, I'll just rip off my hand, like, I'll take my hand out and the sword I'll lose my hand over there. I'm remembering a little vaguely, but Zoro's gonna cut off his legs and Brogy's gonna lose his arm or his hand or something like that. So I forget. Yeah, I guess at the moment Brogy's will was really bad, and then by the time he got his will back, he was in a situation where he would have to lose a hand to get out. I don't know. I'd have to read that section again. Now show, thanks for the 10. I think Luchi will have a heel face turn trying to save Kaku. He lost his job working for the world government before. I could see him losing his job again because he wants to save his partner. I don't think Luchi's a character that's deserving of any sort of redemption. If you just go back and read through, like, this is a dude that killed the 500 hostages or whatever, to, to take care of the pirates or something. Like, he's a really, like, Luchi's a really fucking bad guy. I guess so is Crocodile. Well, Crocodile didn't get a redemption either. So I guess they could both be moved to the middle area where they're, like, still bad guys, but, like, bad guys you kind of root for because they turn against the bigger bad guys, which is the world government and such. So I could see that. But Luchi was really a shitty-ass character. Like, truly. Like, if you go back and read, like, the things he wanted to do and, like, how he viewed Robin, and, like, he genuinely likes killing, and he likes killing people, and that's kind of his primary motivation if you go back. Like, he explains to Spandam, he's like, yeah, the main reason I'm involved in all this is not really because I give a shit. I just want to kill people. And Spandam's like, aw, shit, that's perfect for me. So... Bunfagum, thanks a lot. Funny how people are trying to discredit Zoro's win despite the fact that Jinbei said he won twice. The narrative implications are clear. No, I mean, yeah, Zoro won. I think everyone understands Zoro won, right? It's just, I don't think it's like a low diff or a one-shot like people are saying. I thought about the definition of one-shot a bit, and I guess to me, a one-shot means, like, you can't have... to me, a one-shot is not the first attack you land. To me, a one-shot is, like... you have to, like, it can't, the first attack that you throw has to defeat the enemy, and that's a one-shot. To me, that's a one-shot, because otherwise, then Luffy versus Cracker is technically a one-shot, because the first attack Luffy landed, he defeated Cracker, but I don't think, Luffy had to fight literally all night and was struggling against Cracker, and he, like, threw a million attacks that didn't work, right? So Zoro was definitely attacking before this. It's just finally he pulled out an attack strong enough to beat Luchi. So I don't count that as a one-shot. I guess to me, a one-shot means it's the first real attack that you throw. You know, first time you put effort into an attack. Yeah, then if you do that, then it's a one-shot if you get them on that try. So I don't think Zoro versus Luchi is a one-shot, but I don't think it's like high diff or extreme diff. I think it's just, you know, because Zoro didn't pull out everything he could do. I don't know. It's over. It's over. I think Zoro won. I don't think it's as easy as some people are spinning it, but I also don't think it's as hard as some people are spinning it. Starbright, thanks for the 5. Hey, Korj, if all the Gorosei have Conqueror's Haki and one of them fights Sanji, what do you think that means for him and Conqueror's Haki? I mean, I don't think you need Conqueror's Haki to fight a Conqueror's Haki user. Like Kizaru, I don't think has Conqueror's Haki, but he was fighting, like, Luffy, like Gear 4th Luffy. Once Luffy went Gear 5th, then he started to get the upper hand, but that wasn't even mainly because of Conqueror's Haki as much. That was just, you know, shenanigans. So, I mean, speed, like, other stuff matters, right? Maybe you're not going to win, like, a direct, straight-up clash against like, a strong advanced Conqueror's Haki user, but, you know, speed matters, right? We also don't know if the Gorosei, if all of the Gorosei are advanced Conqueror's Haki users, because, like, again, like, Conqueror's Haki doesn't mean anything unless you can actually use it in combat, which, so far, not every Conqueror's Haki user can do, you know? Like, Doflamingo's a Conqueror's Haki user, that would be irrelevant in his fight against Sanji, because he can't actually use it in combat. Same with Katakuri, you know? Mr. MMF2, thanks a lot. Every time I see the Elders flex, I remember you saying that they don't look strong, another classic Morj SEL. Since when does Luchi care about Kaku? Yeah, I did not think that the Elders are going to be this strong. Definitely not. Since when does... I'm happy they are. It's really cool. It adds a lot to the story. But I did not think that earlier on, like 200 chapters ago. Or like even more recently than that. Since when does Luchi care about Kaku? I don't fucking know. I don't think Luchi's ever... We know Luchi can care about other things because he likes Hattori, right? He cares about Hattori. So he cares about other shit. Since when does Luchi care about Kaku? I don't know. I guess this is just a new aspect of him that's being introduced, honestly. It's kind of like when Crocodile broke out of Impel Down and, like, his whole thing in Alabasta. If you look back throughout Alabasta, Crocodile's whole thing, the big contrast that he had between him and Luffy was that Luffy relied on his friends and was fighting for his friends, and Crocodile was like, I don't have any friends. You should throw away your friends. Friends are stupid. Like, I don't trust anybody. That was his whole shtick. And then once he breaks out of Impel Down, now he starts relying on somebody. He frees Mr. One. He's like, hey, you're my right hand now. We're going to the New World together. You want to come to the New World with me, etc. So this might be a change in Luchi. I mean, at least with Crocodile, you can understand the motivation for the change, and that, like, his fight with Luffy kind of changed Crocodile. With Luchi, like, you know, maybe it's just he and Kaku have been through a lot of shit. I don't know why he likes Kaku. I don't fucking know. I would say it's because, they've been together and worked together for so long, but Luchi fucking betrayed the Gale La members in a heartbeat, and they worked together for like 5 fucking years, and they were his best friends, so I don't know. Tom, thanks for the 5. Brogy did escape from wax chains. Oh, it's just that after Mr. 3 pinned his hands and feet to the ground with giant swords, so escaping meant ripping them off. Thank you, that all still follows. Again, characters of his level of strength, it just doesn't make sense being in that situation in the first place, but it's whatever. I hand wave it away. It doesn't matter. Now Show, thanks for the 10. I'd also like to say that if Luchi does turn on the world government to save Kaku, he's a foil to Kizaru, who has been distraught ever since he took out Sentamaru. Attempted to kill Bonnie and stabbed Vegapunk. Okay, hold on. He's a foil to Kizaru, who has been distraught. Oh, I see. Yeah. As in, like, Luchi would be doing what Kizaru essentially couldn't do, because Kizaru ultimately followed orders. That would be pretty insane. Luchi doing that for Kaku, though, I feel like would be a little less earned, because at least with Kizaru and Sentamaru and like, we saw their bonds and everything like that. Luchi and Kaku, I don't think anybody really thought that they were, tight like this beforehand. But it would be interesting. It'd be cool for his character. Tony69, thanks a lot. Hey Morj, just joined. Thoughts about Sanji's climax moment defeating 3 Vice Admirals. Also, how do I join Pirate King tier on YouTube iPhone? Can't find link. Live from Amsterdam. Thank you for asking. Sanji versus 3 Vice Admirals. I would love to see Sanji get involved with somebody else. So, like a Gorosei something. 3 Vice Admirals, to me, it just doesn't mean that much, because I'm like, Bartolomeo defeated a Vice Admiral in, like, the fucking bathroom, like, low diff, I expect Sanji to be able to tear through Vice Admirals without too much difficulty, Like, we're talking about Sanji being, like, people are talking about Sanji being, as strong as Yonko First Mates, so, like, King and shit like that. Like, Vice Admirals are nothing. I mean, some Vice Admirals, like Garp, are obviously another level, but not these fucking double chin motherfuckers that we're looking at, As for joining Pirate King tier, thank you for asking. I believe that there should be a button, maybe under the stream window, or, like, the window or something like that, under the... whatever you're watching on. I believe there should be a button or something like that. I'm honestly sorry. I don't know exactly how you do it. But I appreciate you asking. Let's see. How to join YouTube member on iPhone. Oh, if you go to the channel. If you go to my channel, then you will see a button that says join or something like that. So if that's something you're interested in, then... I would really appreciate that, of course. Romajin, thanks for the 5. Do you think Egghead has more tension than Wano? I believe the stakes are high, but others in chat think otherwise, but maybe I'm wrong. It's tricky right now. It's tricky. I feel like the tension did get very high for a little bit in 1100, like towards the end of 1109, the beginning of 1110, and parts, like a good section of 1110 once the Gorosei are really getting, like, starting to cook. But... like, tension is ultimately established by how the characters are made to feel. So the difficult thing is that while I would argue that, like, a lot of the characters are feeling the pressure and the tension right now, right? And the Gorosei do bring a certain sort of tone. Like, even just seeing Luchi talking to Mars, right? Like, that's terrifying. And Luchi's not a good guy. He's a bad guy. But just seeing, like, in this moment, we're being made to empathize with Luchi almost, like, in the face of Mars. And, like, he's scared. The outliers, of course, Luffy exists and the Giants exist. So, like, the latter half of the chapter is a lot of, like, while a lot is being done to create an atmosphere of tension and a lot of characters are feeling it and expressing that, Luffy and the Giants are in a very much of a ha hee hee, can you believe this shit? Like for them, it's not a big deal. So, or it is a big deal, but, like, they're kind of, it's rolling off their backs, right? Like, they're still in an upbeat mood. They're still in upbeat spirits, right? So, how does it compare to Wano? I don't know. Like, it's, I'm not going to say that the tricky thing is, I guess, what each, like, it's just what do you feel the tone is when Luffy and the Giants are laughing, joking around, Luffy's using gags, etc. to fight back. Oda's not establishing tension when he's doing stuff like that, right? But he is establishing tension for other segments of the chapter. So I don't think this is supposed to be, a super, like, this is still Egghead Island. It's still a warm-up arc. I don't think it's supposed to feel like the most high-tension arc, like, ever or something like that. I think that it's in a good spot personally. I don't feel like the same as I did like reading fucking the final parts of Enies Lobby or whatever, where like Usopp's like begging Luffy to get up and Luffy's like on the ground or whatever, like freaking out, you know, and like the Straw Hats are dying under the Buster Call. It's not like that. But it's also not the same as like the worst parts of Wano, where like Hyogoro is saying like, well, we literally can't possibly lose, and I can't imagine losing, and everybody's like cheering like Luffy's gonna beat Kaido, and there's no chance he's gonna lose, etc. Like, I don't feel like that. Wano did have moments of tension though. Like when Kaido did beat Luffy in chapter 1043, you know, that was good. Wano's like not the like Onigashima is generally a low tension arc, or low tension segment with a few spots of tension. Egghead Island, I don't think has been too high tension, but it's starting to have some more. So it's hard to gauge right now because the tension is being undercut by moments of, or like extended segments of levity and characters not really caring. But at the same time, it's mixed in with lots of characters who are affected and who are starting to feel it. So I think we kind of just need to let it play out and kind of see what Oda's going for. I don't think Egghead Island needs to be a super high tension arc because going into it, most of us thought it was going to be fucking Zou. It's kind of just snowballed more and more to get like more and more difficult. So it's already been getting far beyond what we initially felt it was going to kind of be like. So it's kind of just like we got to wait and see what Oda's final goal for what this arc is supposed to feel like is, you know? Because so far it's kind of been like, okay, we're handling it. Okay, now it's kind of getting a little more difficult. Oh, fuck. Okay, so Saturn's actually a problem now. Okay, but we're handling it again. Luffy's handling it. Okay, fuck. Now there's a bunch of Gorosei. Okay, these motherfuckers are kind of scary. We're kind of under a time crunch now. Things are getting a bit more difficult now the Pacifista are back and everything. Okay, but Luffy's still handling it. Luffy's still cool. We're still cool. That's basically the place we're at right now, okay? Next chapter, that might change. Or we might keep riding this high. I don't know. I think it's too early to make a call here. Roll number 4, thanks a lot. Hey Morj, finally able to catch a stream live now that it's early. Please keep this time. I will probably be sticking with this time. Roughly. My questions is, how have you been doing? Hopefully you're good. Yeah, I've been doing really well. The biggest thing for me right now is I'm about to change apartments. So that's like the big stressor that I have at the moment. But at this literal moment in time, I'm good. I'm feeling good. It's Friday, end of the week. Yeah, it's all good. Roll number 4 also asked, not gonna lie, watching you talk at normal speed because your live is tripping me out. You speed up the videos when you watch. Also wondering if you're ever gonna use your Discord server again. Miss you. I will probably never use the Discord server again, but it's in good hands as far as I know, right? I think Potential Pizza runs it, so I don't know. Just some guy with naturally, I can't see the rest of your name. Let me click this. Just some guy with naturally wavy hair. Thanks a lot. Why do you hate Kid, Law, and Kaido? I was a huge Kid defender for the longest time. I had high hopes for Kid. And then eventually it was just like, I can't even, like, what do I even say about this guy's fucking, he gives me nothing to work with. In terms of writing, shallowly written, not much to cling on to. Like, a generic rip-off of, like, every other rival character ever, but with just much less story focus or development. Lame abilities, poor feats, gets fucked up frequently, and just got somewhat removed from the story. Law, there's too many rants I've done. I don't have time for a Law rant right now. I just don't have time for a Law rant right now. Law is too much. I don't have time for a Law rant. The one thing I'll say is that if Law had been a character from much earlier in the story, I would have really, really liked him. I don't like this fucking stupid-ass Sasuke ripoff being dropped into the story so late in the game and then just taking over the entire series for 150 chapters. 150 chapters means like fucking 4.5 years in One Piece in like real world time, by the way. Yeah, I didn't fucking enjoy One Piece, the story of Luffy and the Straw Hats turning into Trafalgar Law and Friends for fucking, like, he fucking Family Matters the show. Fucking Steve Urkel gets dropped in and now it's like, hey, it's the fucking Steve Urkel show for like 150 chapters. Like, fuck that dude. Why? Like, and the fact that people ate it up, like they didn't give a shit about Luffy and the Straw Hats. It's like, oh, I guess like, I guess Law's the what the fuck, man? Like, fuck Law. And Kaido on. No, I don't think I'm like a Kaido. No, I am a Kaido hater in just the sense that a ton of character potential. in terms of like everything that Kaido was like in terms of like actually having a clear, fleshed out motivation, storyline, what the entire conflict, like driving agenda, etc. Like the definition of what the character is and what he's about, was extremely messy and never really came together. I also find it hilarious when people claim that they fully understand Kaido's motivations, and then you can point out like 4 different contradictions, and it's like, okay, so never mind. Yeah, just the messiest villain in all of One Piece, without anyone really being close. Yeah, that's Kaido basically. But I think I hate on Kaido more so in the sense that when I see people argue that like Luffy wasn't stronger than him by the end in Gear 5th or something. Like for me it's more so just like the weird Kaido fanatics who are basically like make up a lot of stuff. It was like a 15v1. It's like, what the fuck are you talking? Like, first of all, half of them were fucking scabbards, right? And he's supposed to wash them with 0 difficulty to begin with. So if you're counting them, it's like, that's like me counting fucking Luffy washing the fucking Marines before he gets to fighting Bluno and Luchi, you know? Like in that case, it's like Luffy at Enies Lobby, like a 4,000 v. Like he fought Luchi and Bluno in a 4,000. Like no, you don't stack up fights like that. That's not how it works. It's only relevant if they're strong enough, which scabbards aren't. Then after that, it was like a 5v2, and on his side was another fucking Yonko. They're supposed to be able to easily score. Like look at what Shanks does to fucking supernovas, right? It was supposed to be a low diff for Kaido and Big Mom. It's just weird to me that people gas up Kaido so much when it's like, no, it's embarrassing that you and Big Mom together couldn't beat these 5 characters before they even had any fucking power-ups, before they had Conqueror's Haki down, before they used their Devil Fruit Awakenings or anything like that. And then people are like, oh, and Yamato. It's like, okay, and then Kaido beats his daughter for a little bit. And then he fights like Luffy and loses to him on Luffy's first day of learning Advanced Conqueror's Haki and Devil Fruit Awakening. Literally Luffy's first day. And people make up so much shit about like, well, he carried the island. It's like, motherfucker, go read chapter 1049. It is established canonically that carrying the island has no effect on Kaido whatsoever. This is just shit that people are pulling out of their ass to gas up Kaido. I think I'm just more so annoyed with the like fanatical praise of like obsession with Kaido that some fans have. And it's like, why not just give Luffy his flowers? Like, this is the main character. He kicked his ass at the end of the day. Ramen Stains, thanks for the 5. I think a part of the Zoro hate isn't serious. Zolo memes have been some of the funniest things I've seen from this community for a while. I just think it's weird that, like, the Zoro, like, I think that people just go a bit too far. Like Zoro was having this fight with Luchi for so long, right? Like so much other shit happened, and then Zoro ends the fight, and then immediately it's like, instead of just being like, okay, so Zoro did it, like that's cool, now we can move on. Like instead people are like, okay, Zoro finally beating Luchi after all this time, this means that he's about equal to Luffy. That's what I'm seeing, at least on Twitter. I've seen so many people saying that, yeah, this means that Zoro and Luffy basically the same thing, roughly equal, they scale to each other. I'm like, how does this mean that, what like, I'm on board for that sort of discussion, because if you go back and watch my past videos, I've talked about how there are many points in the series where I do think that it can be implied that Zoro scales somewhere close to Luffy. At other points, it doesn't seem that way, and I think it's kind of variable. So, like, you can go watch, like, some of my past videos where I actually argue in favor of moments in the series where it seems like Zoro's being portrayed close to Luffy. I don't think this is one of them. I think Zoro needs to do something against one of the fucking Gorosei. I'm not saying it's out of the question. I'm just kind of shocked that people are like, alright, Zoro took like fucking 6 months. He beat Luchi. During this time, Luffy did all this other shit or whatever, and then Zoro finally beats Luchi. And then it's like, well, now it means that Zoro and Luffy are equal. That's what this means. I'm like, is that what this means? Like, I don't know if this means that. Why can't, like, let's just... To me, it's just like, let's just... If Zoro does something else that's impressive, I'm down to put him there, you know? But I don't think this means... I don't think this means that. I don't know. Like, we all knew that Zoro was eventually going to win. So it's like, if he eventually wins and it's like... That, like, as long as he eventually one day wins, that means that he's equal to Luffy. I just think that that's kind of a leap, personally. Again, I'm not saying it's out of the question, but I'm just saying that I wouldn't use this as evidence for that, you know? Like, I'm open to some new evidence showing up. I don't know. All right. Joseph eBay, thanks for the 10. Hi Morj, this super is funded through bloodshed and live loss from an intense gauntlet of Beyblade battles. Okay. Did you know that Beyblades were actually how Moses parted the seas? Have you guys seen that clip? It's hilarious. Talos is shattering a laser and having Kizaru shook, greater than beating Luchi. Yeah, I mean, I would say that, like, look, I would say that Sanji stopped, like, breaking Kizaru's laser is cooler than Zoro beating Luchi to me. I still think that Zoro can do something that one-ups that by the end of the arc. I'm just saying, why don't we wait for that? You know? Like, I just don't see how Zoro beating Luchi after all this time and clearly effort from him means that he's now equal to Luffy. Again, if there's some, like, I'm open to the concept of Zoro scaling to Luffy. Like, before this whole Luchi situation, I mentally had Zoro closer to Luffy than I do now. I personally need some evidence to put Zoro back there, you know? Like, back where I had him before. So, I'm down to wait for that. I just don't think this is the best way to make a case for that, personally. So anyway, Joseph eBay is saying, with that being said, what's the significance of Elbaf now given this arc? Big ups to Pumbaa. War Curie, I was like, Pumbaa. Elbaf, I think, is going to be a more pirate-centric arc. I think it's going to be intra-pirate focused. Would just, like, I don't think the world government's really going to be able to mess with that, just because that'll be, like, Shanks, the Giants, the Straw Hats, too many Yonko-level forces, etc. there. And I think it'll be some time for maybe outside world developments to happen, and then pirate stuff to be kind of squared away. Maybe road poneglyphs being fought over. Probably like the penultimate step to getting to One Piece. So I think that'll be the focus of the Elbaf arc. If you're talking about thematically, I think we just need to wait and see how Elbaf plays out. I have some ideas on it that you can go back and see in my theory that I did way back when about how Elbaf will be Shanks' arc. I speculate on a lot of the themes that could be there. But it's... I think this is the arc that sets up the world government really well, and next arc might be back to focusing on pirate competition. Jay, thanks for the 5. I never would have guessed years ago that the Gorosei have Conqueror's Haki. Yeah, not just Conqueror's Haki, like some fucking insane levels of Conqueror's Haki, to be honest. This is the argument that I always think is stupid. So, no offense to you, but I just think it's a stupid argument. Well, I guess that's insulting, right? But... So Naraya Suruyoko says Kaido doesn't instantly get his strength back from the clouds. If they disappear, that just means they won't drain him anymore, but the energy he lost is already gone. That's not how any, like, when people say stuff like this, I'm like, how do you exist in the real world as a human being? Because you just experience, like, life, right? Like, if you, if you're lifting anything, right? If you're lifting anything and it's a weight on you, the moment you take that weight off, you are now immediately going to be able to exert more effort, more force than you were a moment before. That's just how weights work, you know? Like, that's literally just how weights work. That's how burdens work. You're going to be able to exert more effort than you were a moment before. Now, hypothetically, you wouldn't, like, let's say you've been wearing weights or something like that for a long time. Once you take it off, it's like, well, I'm not going to be as 100% as energetic as I was like an hour ago when I put the weights on, because my strength has been drained since then. But you would be more capable of exerting more force, more speed, whatever, than you were a second ago when you had the weights on. The moment you take them off, you gain some physical capability back. That's just the way fucking anything works. If you're lifting something at the gym, you're doing a bench press or something, and you're struggling with the bar, somebody takes 2 weights off, you're going to be able to lift the bar a little bit higher than you were a second ago. This is, like, it's actually fucking insane to try and argue otherwise. Like, what you're talking about... like, what you're talking about is like, well, yeah, but my strength wouldn't be the same as, like, before... like... I don't know if you're getting what I'm saying, but if there is any noticeable weight, then the moment you take it off, the before and after is going to be better after. If there's any significant weight, all right? It wouldn't be the same as, like, you know, what your peak strength was before you started lifting weights in general, right? But that's not the point. The point is that if there is a burden whatsoever, then it would be evident the moment a weight is removed at all. You would immediately be capable of doing a little bit more than you were a second ago. That's just how fucking, like, go to the gym, go sit down at a bench, try lifting a bar, okay? Try lifting a bar. Put two plates on the bar, all right? Try lifting the bar, then take the plates off, see if you can lift more. See if you can lift the bar higher than you were a second ago. That's just, that's, what the fuck? The fact that Kaido had no change means that there was no weight on him. There was no weight on him whatsoever. That's just how it goes. I'm so fucking confused. We're still on the Kaido argument. Yeah, because the argument that's pulled, like, that argument is just so bizarre to me, I don't even understand it. Like, I don't understand that there's real people that, like, would actually make that argument. Because it means that, to me, that just means that you've never, it's just like it's like, I don't know, like, it's like, it's just real life stuff. Like, you know, like, this is just, like, basic existence stuff. It's like saying, I don't know, if the weather's colder, I don't, like, that's, like... If the weather's colder, why would that affect, like, how cold you feel or something? Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, well, this is just real life. This is just how stuff works. Or like, oh, if you're injured, then, you know, how's that going to affect, like, your movement or something like that? Like, I don't know. Those are poor examples, but I'm just trying to think of something. I'm like, what's the equivalent of saying, like, if you're carrying something heavy and then you remove that heavy thing, you would notice a difference, a positive difference. It's just something that's just exists. Like, we've all experienced it. There's no need. The fact that I have to make an argument for that whatsoever means that the Kaido delusion is so deeply ingrained that people actually legitimately ignore how just reality works and, like, basic day-to-day experience works. Like, you ignore the entirety of your, like, real world, real life experience to basically make some argument for Kaido that makes no sense. That's the level of bias you would need to argue in favor of Kaido there. Andrew Dougherty, welcome to the Pirate King tier. Oh, okay, I should talk about this. All right. Oh, and we got one more real quick. I'm going to talk about Pirate King tier in a second. Lucky Man, thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 6 months. I wonder why Oda had Brogy say that the Straw Hat win condition is just getting way, but for the Gorosei it's stopping the message. I think the Straw Hats will have to stay and protect Punk Records to the end of it. Yeah, I think we might have to get a turnaround here. I don't know. Yeah, I agree it's not the best analogy because I'm struggling. I'm just like, what's something that's the equivalent of that? That's just like a really basic day-to-day sort of thing, you know? Anyway. Dan says, wouldn't you be tired? Well, as soon as you remove any sort of burden, you immediately feel better than you were a second ago when you were carrying the burden. That's just the way it works. Okay, let's go. Yeah, I do think that there's going to be a turnaround. All right, so talking about the, I'm still catching up on supers, In the meantime, let me just say real quick, am I missing one membership? I think I'm good. If I missed a membership, just let me know. Oh, no, I did miss one. Tony69, welcome to Pirate King tier. All right, so for those of you who don't know, once a month I do the Pirate King podcast, which is basically everybody can submit questions to me. Everyone can submit questions to me, and I answer them all in a long podcast. It's usually an hour plus, sometimes close to an hour and a half, and I answer everybody's questions in depth. More in depth than I do in streams because I just have more time and, like, luxury. Like, streams, things are flying by. Pirate King podcast, I can go in more in depth. People ask One Piece related questions, a lot of not One Piece related questions, like general movies, TV show, games, some personal stuff, etc. It's just an all-purpose podcast, a lot of One Piece obviously included, other anime and manga included as well, okay? So people have been asking for some time if I would ever do a podcast high. I think, because, like, we've got a long break coming up, we can do something fun to mix it up. I'll do the next Pirate King podcast high, for those of you who are interested. So I'll make this next one, I guess, a special one, I suppose. Yeah, it'll just be a special one. I'll do this next one high. I don't really smoke weed nowadays. I smoke Delta 8 because it's just easier for me. But I could get some for this one specifically. So, yeah, if you guys are interested, next Pirate King podcast, if you want to join the Pirate King tier, this is just a heads up for you VOD viewers, for anybody watching right now live. Next one I will do high. I will never stream high because that's just too... I will literally never do it. It's too overwhelming for me. Just too much input, I suppose, basically. I'm just like, it's just too much for me, basically. But just answering questions, yeah, that's easy. So that'll be fun. That'll be fun for me. I'll probably enjoy it a little bit more. I always have a lot of fun doing the Pirate King podcast because like the topics go all over the place, but it'll be even more fun for me. So I'll do that one. Yeah. So you guys can watch out for that next Pirate King podcast. The submissions for the next one will be up this following week, basically. So the submission form to ask questions for the next one will be up this following week. Yeah, that's basically it. And I'll, of course, shout this out again in next week's stream. All right, let me keep catching up on supers. Jay says, no, we covered this. I'm saying, thanks a lot. What's the lore on your beef with your Discord server? I think you'll have to ask them. I don't think I have beef with the Discord server. I just got a little overwhelmed. I used it at first initially, and then I felt like I had to keep up with too many people. And then I was like, okay, and I'm not like a huge Discord person in general. So then slowly I just slowed down my use. And then, and then eventually I just never went back. That's basically it. But it's not beef. It's just, yeah. The person that runs it, Potential Pizza, I'm still in contact with him, and I talk with him on Twitter on occasion. Cigar Verk, thanks for the 5. I love Gear 5th, but with Power Cliff Luffy has gotten, he handled multiple strong people with no hit on him. It's difficult to digest. Zoro Observation Haki is underrated. Zoro's Observation Haki is underrated. Yeah, I think Zoro's Observation Haki might be underrated. I think it's just not an emphasized part of him. So it's hard to say like how underrated, overrated, whatever it might be. I think it just hasn't super been relevant to him in his fights. Handling multiple strong people with no hit. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, I think it's just really hard to scale anyone to Gear 5th Luffy right now till we get another, I'd say, really prolonged fight with him versus another top tier, personally. Like another Yonko or up character. Goomba Boomba, thanks a lot. Any chapter with Gear 5th comedy is gold. Love this shit. I thought it was cool. I definitely thought that was enjoyable. A really fun part of the chapter. Nathan, welcome to the Yonko. Thank you for joining. Kid Smitty94 with an interesting point. I think the Gorosei are Haki rather than have Haki. That could be really cool if they're manifestations of Imu's Haki. But they have these variety abilities that feel not like Haki-esque. I don't know. Bunfagum, thanks for the 10. The biggest problem with Kaido is that we don't have perspective on when he gave up on his desire to change the world, instead choosing to destroy it as it stood. When did he lose his joy? I mean, I don't think that's the only aspect of it that's kind of missing, but I do think that there's a clear fundamental change in his, like, the younger Kaido that we saw that was more positive, more laughing, etc., to what he became. I do think that's a significant part that might be missing. Maybe we get that during the Rocks flashback, but here's the thing. You want to understand your villain in the story arc itself, right? So a similar example would be like, well, Arlong, we got more perspective on him and why he is the way he is later on in the story, during Fisher Tiger's flashback. But during the Arlong Park arc, none of that was ever even written in, right? We didn't really understand like the backstory, the racism and the struggle of the fishmen, etc. Everything that we needed to know, everything that was presented about Arlong and Fishman Island, or in Arlong Park, was pretty much all that we needed to know about him at the time. It was never kind of hinted at like, oh, well, Arlong was like, we never really learned anything about, or had anything written in about past oppression or history with, like, all we knew is that, okay, he separated from Jinbei at some point, but it was never really explained, like, why that might be significant or anything, right? Like that, right? With Kaido, it's different in that, so, like, yeah, parts of Arlong's story are added in the in the Fishman Island flashback, but there were never any holes that appeared in the Arlong Park story in the first place, right? With Kaido, it's different in the sense that we see, like, just based on the example you're saying, right? And I'd say there's lots of other holes, but just based on the example you're saying, yeah, the younger Kaido that we're kind of being shown glimpses of, who's very positive, who's talking about Joy Boy, etc., that's a far cry from the far more depressive, wasting away drunk Kaido that we see with a much different mentality later on in life, right? So the whole is kind of introduced, and Kaido throughout is talking about lots of things, like pirates will betray you, like the experiences that he's had, etc. He hints at a lot of experiences, leaving these holes that never get filled in. So within the context of the Wano arc itself, it doesn't matter if down the line in the Rocks arc, or in the Rocks flashback, we get these holes filled in for Kaido. Within the context of Kaido being a villain for the Wano arc, he's very, very, very messy and undefined, because a lot of things are opened up, and a lot of things are basically left unexplained regarding his character, and overall, what the character is supposed to be is really, really poorly constructed in comparison to every other past major One Piece villain. Rez, thanks for the 5. What if the giant robot is Uranus and Luffy is its conductor? Ooh, I don't know how I'd feel about it being Uranus. Like, Uranus just lying around there. I hope it's not Uranus. I would find that a little boring, to be honest. I mean, it would be cool if Luffy can conduct the robot in some way, but, let's see. I think the giant robot will come in clutch against the Gorosei. Stanley Barton says, hey, Morj, don't know if you saw my earlier message. Oh, shit, I probably didn't. Let's see. Stanley. Oh, yeah, you said Elbaf Giants beat by Mr. 3 and... No, I covered this. I covered this one. I covered this one much earlier. I think if you skip earlier in the stream, you'll find that one, but I did talk about this one. Dragonfire, thanks for the 5. The Luchi and Ennis would have let Kaku die because he's weak. Luchi bonded with CP9 in cover story. They saved him after Enisin paid for his hospital fees. You're right. You're right. You're actually very, very, very right. I'm so sorry. I forgot about the Ennis lobby. I forgot about the CP9 cover story, which is a damn shame because it's actually one of my favorite cover stories. I forgot about that one. Forgot about that shit. I forgot about that. Yeah, no, I'm on board. It makes sense. Definitely makes sense. Definitely makes sense. I'm on board. You're right. Yeah. It's the cover story. JWP, thanks for the 5. Damn, I'm not used to Friday streams. Just got here. You were cooking with the Gorosei rankings law. Pretty much everyone on Twitter was saying what you said. Oh, shit. I should tweet what I said, too. Maybe I'll tweet a little bit of the video. Oxta Word, thanks for the 5. Shanks said he was leaving Elbaf. The Giants made it all the way to Egghead in the time since he said that. I don't know if Shanks will be there. Shanks said he was leaving. I think it might be more of a thing as like Shanks leaving, so the Shanks won't be there when the Straw Hats arrive at Elbaf, and that allows some space for the Straw Hats to meet the citizens of the country, the Giants, etc. But then Shanks returns for the meat of the arc, So remove Shanks temporarily, bring him back for when it's time for that. Like we get past the beginning sections of the arc. Crow Stray God, thanks for the 5. Hi Morj, who do you think will be the strongest non-Conqueror's Haki user and a story? Maybe Usopp can step up by figuring out the Gorosei's weakness. Non-Conqueror's Haki user, I think will probably be Sanji, right? Sanji or maybe Law? Sanji, Law, or Sabo. I think they'll probably all have a shot. Those are the ones I can think of off the top of my head. Maybe I'm forgetting somebody. Usopp figuring out the Gorosei's weakness. There's no amount. I wouldn't bet a nickel on that. If it happens, fantastic. But I'm not betting on Usopp doing anything to the Gorosei this arc. Tony69, thanks for the 6. Join Pirate King tier. Oh, congratulations! You're just in time for the High podcast. All right, that'll be happening fairly soon. Where do I submit the questions for the podcast? So the submission form will go up next week, probably next Friday. Then I record it over the weekend, and then it'll be out the following. It might actually come up. The form might go up a little bit earlier than next week. You also get access to all the previous Pirate King podcasts, so you can give any one of those a listen if you'd like. In the meantime, there's a lot of them that they're really long at this point. Also been lifting for 7 years, and the example with Kaido and Clouds is 1,000% accurate. Thank you. I appreciate you saying that, but to be honest, you shouldn't have to even go to the gym whatsoever. You should just, like, in real life, fucking taking groceries. Carrying groceries from the car to your fucking house. You should be able to understand that, like, as soon as you set the groceries down, you're carrying a little less weight. You have a bit more energy than you did a second ago when you were carrying the groceries. That's just how fucking life works. That's existence. That's how do you be a human being on this planet and make that sort of argument? Like, how far do you have to have your head stuffed up Kaido's ass to actually argue, like, no, that doesn't make sense. Like, if Kaido removes the clouds, well then, he doesn't have to carry the island anymore. Well, his strength is still static. It'll just be wherever the fuck it was left off when he was last carrying the clouds. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? JWP, thank you for gifting 5 memberships. Holy shit, man. Roy K, Now You Good 29, Mike Brennan, Tala, Vitanite. Everybody say thanks to JWP. Thanks so much, man. I really appreciate it. I'm sure you're just as pumped about the chapter as I am. Oh, shit, you actually gifted 5 before this, too, that I missed. Oh, fuck, I'm sorry, man. I'm saying welcome to Pirate King tier. Look out for the podcast coming up. Hold on, let me catch JWP's. Nathan, welcome to the Yonko. I think I caught that one already. I forget. Okay, JWP gifted 10 memberships overall, so I'm sorry I missed the first batch of them, I think. But thanks so much, man. Seriously, I really, really appreciate it. JWP is asking why did I just gift a mod? Yeah, they don't need it. Logi Dogi says I have no groceries because I got factor meals with code Morj. Yeah. Use those instead. Let me keep going. Justin Holland, thanks for the 5. Maybe Luffy can pick Nami and Robin's brains on how to deal with the Gorosei's healing factor. I don't even know what Nami and Robin... What are Nami and Robin... I don't know how they're going to contribute to this conversation whatsoever. I can't imagine them having a clear answer to this. I think Nami would be freaked... I can't imagine them having the answer to this. I know they're smart, but I don't know if they're that type of smart, you know? Flame of the Spirit, thanks for the 5. Morj, list your One Piece agendas, uncensored, true, pure opinion. What do we call agendas? Zoro above law. That's a strong agenda that I have. Shanks above Kaido, Mihawk above Kaido, Dragon above Kaido. I'm just thinking, like, you're talking about power scaling agendas, because that's kind of what I jump to. When people say agendas, those are the hot ones, I guess. I don't know. Like, those are the ones that I'm probably more passionate about. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think I need specific scenarios to have agendas, you know? Specific scenarios. Bassam Elmadawi, thanks for the 5. Kizaru at the end can either be upset at himself or just gassed out. What if Imu is like Sauron, and holds dominion on the Gorosei in exchange for power? So you're saying that they're like the Nazgul? Well, I guess it's not the same, but that as what you're saying, but actually that's what I kind of just jumped to. That they're kind of like his Nazgul. I don't know. That would be interesting, but also the Gorosei, they don't seem like they're being coerced. They seem like they're genuinely very subservient to Imu, and they're like truly committed to their cause, you know? Kizaru at the end, we're just gonna have to wait and see. I just don't think, like, I think he had to do something he really didn't want to do, and he would rather not get back in the fight. And he's using the excuse of being injured as like, okay, yeah, I'm out of commission, I can't do anymore. So he doesn't have to do any more damage. JDG, thanks for the 2. Do you believe the more pure a dream, the better the people age? Are you saying that, like, in life? Or in, like, what do you mean? Like, in general? And Romajin, welcome to Pirate King tier. I hope you enjoyed the upcoming podcast. You still get access to all of the previously existing podcasts, so go check those out whenever you get a chance, just to get the idea of what it's about. And look out for the submission form that'll come up next week. More pure dream, the better people age. Are you talking about, like, real life? I can't tell if you're... Like, that sounds like a real life question. In One Piece, I don't know. I don't know about in One Piece. In real life, maybe it's kind of true. Maybe having a pure dream allows you to maintain focus and just stay committed to something, which can probably help you age better in some ways. I don't know. I know that mental stuff and stress, etc., is also strongly related to how you age, so I don't know. But I don't know if you're talking about in real life or in One Piece. I'm sorry. Rumble Weeb, thanks for the super. Kuma death and Saturn's defeat now feel like side stories. The arc seems uncertain now. How do you think the arc ends? I do agree with an earlier discussion chat, which was like, also let's get the stream likes up to 400 real quick. I do agree with an earlier chat, which was that I think that the Straughts will turn around to try and defend Vegapunk's legacy or something, because right now they're trying to escape to the ship. I think they will try and fight for the sake of that, protecting Vegapunk's message coming out. I do think Kuma dying in some sort of sacrifice seems likely. I think that Saturn's defeat... I do think that Saturn should go down this arc. I still feel like... And that might be the key to us kind of understanding how they might defeat Gorosei in the future. But I also like the arc just feels very, very chaotic at the moment in a good way. And definitely one of the most unpredictable storylines, like, ever. Towards the end of it, you know? Down the home stretch. Oscar Cruz, thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 18 months. Luffy losing his scars was so freaky and surreal, but so funny, LMAO. Yeah, that was nuts. That was hilarious. I like seeing new little ways that Oda can kind of incorporate these gags. Also, let's get the stream lights up to 400 real quick. Trundle, thanks for the 5. Hey, Morj, thanks for the entertainment, man. Best One Piece YouTuber by far. Thank you. I really appreciate that, honestly. Flame of the Spirit, thanks for the 5. I actually wonder if Vegapunk's final message will actually reveal / hint at the Gorosei's weaknesses. See, what's interesting is that, oh, and I missed MPA Slick. I'll catch you in a second. Sorry. And I missed Pen Pal. I missed some people. Hold on. Hold on. I'm missing some people. Let me catch you guys. Let me finish this thought. So, I think it would be interesting. One thing that's also interesting is that York didn't know what Mars was. So, it seems like York didn't know Mars's true form. And York is a Vegapunk. Now, we know that not all the Vegapunks don't share all their information. Otherwise, they would have all known that York's a traitor. But it does open up the possibility that even the Stella maybe doesn't know the truth about, like, the Gorosei's abilities or something. I don't know. Like, the weaknesses or something. So, PenPal1058, thank you for upgrading your membership to Pirate King tier. I hope you enjoy the upcoming podcast. JWP, thanks again for the another batch of the 5 memberships, man. I'm sure everyone in chat really, really appreciates you. And MPA Slick, a longtime Yonko tier member, 17 months. Senor Morgan Freeman, how have I been? I've been good. Again, my current stressor in life is just moving. This is gonna be one of the last streams that you guys will ever see in this background. The next stream, the Monday stream, and we'll probably get it on one more stream next week. Those will be the last ones that we get with this background. What car are you riding in now after the Kia boys took your whip? I'm still riding in the same Hyundai that I had before. It was a Hyundai. It got stolen, and it got found, fixed, riding in that still. I have a wheel lock now that I put in the car to prevent that from happening again, hopefully. Wanna just say, F that kid, Yonko boys up. I agree. The Yonko seems strong right now, you know? MPA Slick, no, I caught you, man. I caught you. So I skimmed past it for a second. Matt says the Gorosei are just using Izanagi, but they will run out of Sharingan eventually. Basim El Mudawi says Gorosei equals Nazgul. They can only fall when Imu dies. So I thought about that too. Like, what if the Gorosei can only be defeated when Imu's defeated? But then I'm like, but how does that work then? Because Imu's probably getting defeated last. So how are people even fighting the Gorosei before then? What do they do about that? Now you good 29 says I feel like Stella and Shaka might have known, but suspected one of them could be a traitor, so they kept it secret because why would he know who Nika is but not the elders? I could see that possibility. Also, let's get the stream lights up to 400 real quick. Liquid Richard says TikTok challenge got your car stolen. Yeah, and this is why like so many people are sad that TikTok is getting banned. You know, I'm not. Fuck TikTok. I hope it gets banned. I hope they ban it everywhere. I hope they ban it here. I hope they ban it to China. I hope they ban it across the known human verse. Everywhere that humans exist, they shouldn't have TikTok. Fuck TikTok. Fuck that stupid ass platform. Fuck you guys who use it. All right. Got my fucking car stolen. Stupid ass platform. I hope they ban that shit. 00 Flevans, thanks for the 2. Zoro never loses, not even his virginity. Yeah, he was on that island with Mihawk and Perona for like 2 years, right? It was just him, his master, and one woman. And I know that he said no to her for that entire time skip. I know he was saying no. Chino Alabacia says TikTok gives me information on politics. I don't care how much good TikTok is doing in the world at large. I don't care if TikTok cures cancer. Fuck, nah, okay, that's too far. Forget the last two sentences I said. I don't actually believe that. But I stand by my opinion that for me, on a personal level, for me it's personal with TikTok. I just want it gone. I want it banned. Get it out of here. UWJSJDGJ says, how did the car get stolen? Because of the fucking TikTok challenge. It's called the Kia challenge. It's a Kia challenge, but it works on Kias and Hyundais. They just pitched it as the Kia challenge. The way Kias and Hyundais work, I still don't even know the full fucking details, but it's something like the way that their ignition systems work. If you have a USB, you can just open up the steering column, which takes like 30 seconds. You open up the steering column, you plug in a USB, you have now taken over the car. You don't need to hotwire shit. It's just done. You take over the car. You just need a USB. That's it. All they had to do to steal my car, break one window, open up the steering column, literally take, like, the Kia challenge is you can do it in under a minute. It takes no time. It's the most risk-free way to steal a car ever. I guess I'm spreading it to you guys right now. But, you know, it happened to me, so I guess if you have a Kia or Hyundai, just watch out. They broke my window, came in, plugged that shit in, it's over. Baby Morj says Morj is just a boomer who can't hang with the younger gen. Yeah, I also don't like what I don't understand. And, like, I don't have TikTok myself, so I'm like, I don't know what this shit is. It's funny because I love YouTube Shorts. I watch a lot of YouTube Shorts. And I imagine TikTok is just the same thing. So I imagine if I use TikTok, I'd probably be very addicted to it. Also, let's get the stream likes up to 400 real quick. Khalid Suleiman, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 14 months, man. Hi, Morj, been a minute. I've returned once again to say your bookshelf is backwards. There's no bookshelf. There's no bookshelf. It's just shelves. It's just shelves now. Also, I feel bad because I did this whole background and, yeah, I did this whole background and there's no point because now it's just going to get redone. And, background's going to get redone, like, because I'm moving apartments, so, yeah, the background's getting redone, and, yeah, just say goodbye to all of this shit, basically. Wade Turner says, get a different car already? No, I don't have, because, like, now I have a wheel lock, so nothing's going to happen to it. It's secure. That's Chi 20. Thanks for the 20. Kia robbing speedrun. Kia robbing speedrun. Kia robbing speedrun. No, don't do that. Don't steal people's cars. I encourage you not to. Ender Anami says, end of the background era. No, there'll still be a background. It'll just be a different background, you know? Now you good 29 says, why are you moving? I found an apartment close to where I like the location I'm at. I just found an apartment close to this location that has better amenities and such. Also just a nice change of pace. Also, I live on the first floor right now. I want to have, like, I don't know, I guess, like, a bit of a view. I don't know. So I want to be on, like, a slightly higher floor. There's, like, a lot of small things that I don't like about the current apartment, like small problems, bad water pressure, stuff like that. But the location is good, so I've always, like, dealt with it. The reason I'm also able to afford the newer apartment is because I'm switching. This is a 2-bedroom. I'm switching to a 1-bedroom. 2-bedroom is because, like, I keep one space here for recording and all that stuff, right? And then my bedroom, right? So 2-bedroom is why I have it here. But I'm switching to a 1-bedroom because I realized I can do all my recording and stuff. I don't need 2 bedrooms for it, you know? It was more mental, office space separate, recording space separate. But I'm like, it's not a big deal. It's worth it to be able to move to a place I like a little bit better. Wade Turner says, where did you get that poster from? That is a great question. Phenomenal question. If you would like this, you can get it in the Morj store. This poster is by Aiden Capristo, an artist that we are personally partnered with. Wait. Let me pull up this poster specifically. can get it right here. Oh, fuck. JWP, thanks. Thoughts on Jinbei got last blow on Luchi. Can someone explain to me what's happening in that panel? I gotta look at it again. I don't even understand what Jinbei's doing exactly. He's not hitting him, but he's doing something. He's doing something. I don't know what he's doing. Like, just hitting the ground and blowing a wind at him or some shit. I honestly don't really understand why Oda didn't just have him hit Luchi. You know? Like, why didn't he have him hit Luchi? So he hits the ground. I actually don't understand. What is he doing there? MPA Slick, thank you for upgrading to Pirate King tier. I hope you look forward to the upcoming podcast. Yeah. I get people... Okay, so Smokescreen, Escape Mars. I get that. Yokai Gota says we need commands. It's super convenient for stuff like that. What do you mean commands? What are commands? Now You Good 29 says, is it cheaper? And you say that now until you have to take stairs after a leg day. Oh, the other thing is, like, there's a gym inside the place. That's the next complex, so that's good. Like a good gym. So I don't actually have to go to, you know, a gym, which is just a really big quality of life thing. Like the next place is a bit more expensive, which is why I had to downsize from 2-bedroom to 1-bedroom. But it's just quality of life. It's just gonna be nicer for me. I think it's worth it. I get, okay, so Smokescreen, but it doesn't seem like a Smokescreen to me. Sorry about this, Luchi. Okay, I guess it's a Smokescreen. Yeah, I guess it must be a Smokescreen. The reason I say it didn't seem like a smokescreen is just because, like, the smoke's all gone by the time Mars gets there anyway. But I could see maybe that's the intent. I don't know. I guess, yeah, I guess that's the intent. Yeah. JWP says, bro, what do you mean, what are commands? I thought somebody said something about commands. What are commands? Yokai Gota says, we need commands. It's super convenient for stuff like that. What are commands? Cigar Verk, thanks for the 5. Uranus Robogod exists in some other anime. What are your thoughts on Joy Boy having similar crew as Luffy? I saw people talking about that. I think it's an interesting concept. It's one that I kind of want to explore myself, but I haven't taken the time to really look through the whole story and think about, like, who could be what. Like, I don't think it's going to be an identical crew to Luffy, but I could see Joy Boy having a squad that's kind of his core squad that were significant characters. Like, I don't think it's going to be, like, one-to-one, like, there's, you know, like, Joy Boy had a Nami, an Usopp, stuff like that. Okay. Jinbei, smoke screens, same broken tree and panels. Okay. Why are people talking about... Okay, never mind. Yeah, I saved some money on gym membership. It's like random stuff. Okay, that's Chi. Says commands are prompts that you can enter in chats to trigger an action. What? We can do that? What do you mean, like trigger an action? Like what? Like how do I do it? It didn't do anything. How do I do that? Does anyone know how to do this? You guys know I don't know how to do this. What the fuck? Okay, I gotta look into that. We'll see about that. Thank you for letting me know. Also, I'm probably gonna stream... I'm gonna call... Gotta set it up. I'm gonna call stream in the next 5-ish minutes. JWP says, I could just do a command and all my merch links would... I've been going to the site and linking it manually for so long, like an idiot. That's cool. King Shadatta did a command. Morj is cool. That's nice. I like that. Okay. I gotta look into that. Thank you, though. Alright, everybody. Yeah, I'm gonna call stream in the next 5-ish minutes. Andriana says Morj setting it up himself is a done deal. Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna succeed, but we'll see. Can we trigger Dragon doing something? Now You Good 29 says a 1-to-1 copy gets kind of whack the way Naruto fell into they're actually reincarnations. Then it's like these are just characters actually are these characters their own person or just following preset paths? Yeah, I personally didn't like in Naruto everything felt like a copy of like the previous generation, like down to I don't know, mannerisms, like the same trio repeated over and over, like you see the same type of trio over and over and over. I personally don't like that. Like, to me, it's like, parallels are cool till, for me, it feels overdone. I don't need to see Joy Boy having the same exact crew as Luffy. I would love to see Joy Boy having a sort of squad or crew that he, were his people. Megazard says you can have links to Patreon/membership too. Man, I should have set these up so long ago. JWP, thank you, man. Thank you so much. Seriously. This is very, very kind of you. I appreciate it a lot. Everybody in chat does as well, obviously. Megazard, Kyokami, Christoph Brew, it's Tony Santana, and Kenny. Everybody say thanks to JWP. And seriously, just shouts in the chat from everybody, I assume. Everyone should just shout out you for regularly coming through and doing this sort of thing. Seriously. MPA Slick, thank you for the 10. Just noticed I never upgraded to Pirate King tier. My bad, Morj. No. You're bad. No, it's completely up to you. Thanks for doing it. When are we getting the Bloodborne stream? Oh my god, if I had Bloodborne, I still wouldn't stream Bloodborne even if I had a Bloodborne way to play it, just because I don't like streaming games when I'm trying to enjoy them. I just want to be in my own world, my own zone. Also, get them likes up to 500. We're probably calling stream before we get there, but I appreciate the enthusiasm. And thank you again for upgrading the Pirate King tier. I hope you enjoyed the next podcast, and thanks again for the support for so long, seriously. Bloodborne, I hope I do get to play at some point soon. Right now, I do just want to beat... I want to finish out the Tears of the Kingdom that I'm playing, the Zelda game I'm playing, before Elden Ring comes out. JWP is Yonko level. Christian Mystery says just get a PlayStation. The problem is that, like, it's so stupid. I got into, like, games too late to really fully understand, like, when people complain about consoles, PC, all that stuff. But now I'm kind of getting it, because it's like, why would I ever get a PlayStation? There's nothing to play on PlayStation that you can't play on PC for the most part, except for fucking Bloodborne. And, like, even Ghost... Like, before I was almost considering it, I was like, okay, I could get the Demon Souls remake, I could get Bloodborne, I could get Ghost of Tsushima, which I also want to try. And then they're like, well, Ghost of Tsushima's now on PC too. So it's just like, what did they do? Like, it's just frustrating, because I'm like, at least keep, like, you... To me, it's just like, if you're PlayStation or whatever, you gotta pick one or the other. To make it worth it for me to want to actually pay $500, $600, like, more than that, like, with controllers, and, like, you got to make it worth it for me to want to buy that console. Because if you're gonna just do this thing where, like, either decide that you're gonna keep a bunch of stuff just on PlayStation, or just put everything on PC so that I can stick to PC and like get that. Because now I'm in this awkward spot. It's like you put Ghost of Tsushima on PC. Now it's like literally the only game almost that I'd want to get a PlayStation for is Bloodborne. And you're not going to have me pay like $600 for like a PlayStation 5 just to play Bloodborne. Like that, because then I've got to pay for Bloodborne too. So I literally don't get the logic behind it. I'm sure that they've No, I would say I'm sure they've crunched the numbers, but the reality is that like corporations aren't like a lot of people are like, oh no, corporations they've always done the math and like they know what's correct or not correct. That's not true. That's why corporations fuck up and like misjudge things so frequently, and why corporations go down. Right? You can't tell me that this is like um, intelligent decision making by Sony that like they don't know what the fuck like not having any exclusives to PlayStation, barely having any exclusives, and then taking like the few exclusives they do have, putting them on PC, but then still holding on to one exclusive that's just for PlayStation. You know what I mean? Like to me that's not intelligent. I'm not going to pay like there's very few people that are going to pay full price for a PlayStation just to play one game like Bloodborne. So the fucking smarter thing to do is just port it to PC so that like you can actually get some more sales on Bloodborne, right? Unless they're saving it for like the next thing down the line, like a PlayStation 6, in which case it's just like, well then what the fuck was the whole PlayStation 5 thing about? Like why even do I don't know. Talos says PC gets PS games roughly 3 years post launch. I get that they like it's eventual, so eventually PC gets it, so therefore the motivation is to get PlayStation. But then aren't they still just shooting themselves in the foot? Because it's like you're losing a lot of people who basically what do you call are just gonna wait on PC to get those games, right? And you're leaving a lot of people in limbo who don't know whether your game, Bloodborne, for example, is ultimately going to get a PC port or not, because for Bloodborne, it's been like 10 years and it still hasn't gotten a port. And so then they're like stuck in the middle, not sure what to do. I don't know. Odeko says, I think they just think Bloodborne is too small to be worth porting. I don't think that's true, because I think they're well aware. Because Miyazaki, and I know he's not Sony, but like he talked recently about like how much they hear like constantly that people want Bloodborne on PC. Like he's aware, right? And Bloodborne fans are very, very rabid and vocal online about how much they want Bloodborne. Like it's impossible to not have heard and be very aware of how much Bloodborne fans like or FromSoft fans want Bloodborne on PC. So they're aware of it. I guess they're really just holding on to it, probably for a remake or something like that, maybe, or probably is a strong word, maybe for a remake for the PS6 or something, but I don't know. Talos says, Morj, the idea is to release PlayStation games 3 to 4 years post-launch to PC as a second wave of sales. Bloodborne released prior to this strategy. But then in that case, aren't they losing a lot of potential audience of people who are just going to wait for it on PC in the first place? I guess the idea, yeah, is like, well, then they can still get that audience down the line 3 to 4 years later. But couldn't they sell more PlayStation units in the first place if they just make everything, like make it clear that things aren't exclusive? Because otherwise people just don't know, right? People don't know, should we be buying this PlayStation? Like, once you get in the habit of, like, well, this seems like a PlayStation exclusive, but I could just wait and then maybe it comes out on PC. You know, if people just don't know, then versus if you just kept to a standard of always keeping your PlayStation exclusives exclusive, right? Then that drives more people to potentially buy PlayStations in the first place, right? I don't know. I guess maybe I just don't know enough about how this works. It's just annoying to me as a consumer because I just don't know. Like, I just don't know how much I'm like. If I was aware that things would be PlayStation exclusives and a lot of games would remain PlayStation exclusives, that would motivate me to actually buy a PlayStation. But because so many things are PlayStation exclusives for a while and then become PC available ports down the line, it disincentivizes me from buying a PlayStation ever. I don't know. JWP, thanks for the 2. You gonna watch Divine Departure once animated? Yeah, probably. Yeah, I'll just see on I don't know. Abrara Med says, I think only Switch is actually worth getting as a console due to its sheer library. Yeah, I mean, for me, that's why, like, because Nintendo games are just going to stay on the Nintendo console. So, that's why I'm, like, I have a Switch and I have a PC that covers most everything, you know? I also have mixed feelings on Tears of the Kingdom now. For a while, I was like, this is, like, the best game I've ever played. Now I'm, like, mixed. I don't know. I think I just got to finish the game and then see how I feel about it. It's complicated. Also, I watched videos on Breath of the Wild, and now I kind of fully understand just how much, why a lot of Breath of the Wild players are not as enamored with Tears of the Kingdom as I am. I never played Breath of the Wild, so for me, this is all pretty much fresh. But I understand, like why a lot of them are probably frustrated. I was shocked just seeing a lot of the Breath of the Wild videos, like how much of what I love about Tears of the Kingdom was already in Breath of the Wild, I guess. So I don't know, it's tricky. I'm still probably never gonna play Breath of the Wild just because it seems repetitive, but I don't know. Like after having played Tears of the Kingdom, I feel like I don't have a ton of incentive to play that. Cigar Verk, thanks for the 5. PlayStation doesn't get outdated like PC in a few months. Exclusive Spider-Man, God of War, Gran Turismo, and some like GTA come to PC very late, and you're not part of the wave. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Like put it this way, like if Sekiro 2 was coming out and it was PlayStation exclusive, I would probably, and I know it wouldn't because it's not Sony, but I'm just saying the hypothetical. Like, imagine a game I really like. If Sekiro 2 was coming out, I would probably, maybe I should get a PlayStation. Okay, here's the thing. Here's what I'm caught between, all right? Because I really want to play Bloodborne, but I don't want to be the idiot that spends all this money on a PlayStation 5 just to play Bloodborne, you know? And before Ghost of Tsushima was one of the things that I was like, okay, well, I could also get that, right? But now even that's like a PC thing. So I'm like, okay, fuck. So now I have less of a reason. So I'm like, Bloodborne and Demon Souls. Am I just going to get a PlayStation to play those? So I'm like, is there any other good PlayStation 5 exclusive games? I don't know. That I would really want to play? I don't know. Ender Anime says, more just Tears of the Kingdom honeymoon phase wearing off, lol. Here's the thing. I've put over 100 hours, solidly over 100 hours, into Tears of the Kingdom. And I enjoyed the game immensely for like 100 plus hours. So it's almost unfair that, like, you know, that's longer than I played any of the Dark Souls games or like Sekiro or anything like that, right? Like, that's like 2 playthroughs of those games practically, right? So I'm like, am I judging this game fairly in that, like, now I'm kind of feeling like, okay, it's repetitive, there's nothing that deep in this game, etc. Like, there's no really, like, deeply engrossing experiences. It's all very, like, generally light fare, you know? But it's getting to do a lot of really fun variety stuff over a long period of time. But I'm like, is this fair, right? Because I've played, like, this game gave me, like, 100 plus hours. Easily 100 plus hours. I don't know what the total time is at now. But easily 100 plus hours before I even started slightly getting, like, a little tired of it. And now the more I'm playing, it's starting to feel like less, you know, there's less stuff that's bright, new, surprising me, etc. So I'm like, if it took that long for me to start, I just don't know how to evaluate it. I'm like, if it took that long, though, that's still like, so, if you play any game for long enough, eventually you will get tired of it, right? Like, if I played Dark Souls 3, like, 3 times over or something like that, then I'd probably be kind of tired of it by the third playthrough, right? Like, if the hour mark matched up with my Tears of the Kingdom play time. I guess that's not the same way to look. I guess what I realized about Tears of the Kingdom is just there's a sort of limit to how I keep, like, I'm playing the game and, like, there's so many side quests and, like, little things you can do and obviously shrines. And there's cool enemies even, like Leox and Lionels and stuff. But at a certain point, you realize that, like, there's not going to be any singular experience that's really deep and engrossing. Like, even the labyrinths, which are fun, they're not as fun as, like, an old school Zelda dungeon, for example. So, like, there's so much content and stuff to do, and it's such a beautiful world, and there's sandbox elements. And it has kept me greatly entertained for so long. And it's been such an immense stress relief, and it's so relaxing. And there are still like lots of new fun things to find. Like, oh, you can make dream houses and stuff like that. Like, it's difficult because there's so much great stuff. But then there's no, I realize that like at a certain point there stopped being things that are like truly really like deep in terms of an experience, you know what I mean? Like, I'm never going to run into an enemy that's like more intricate than like a Lionel, right? Like, I kind of hit the ceiling of what I could actually be fighting in this game, right? And I'm probably not going to run into some random dungeon or something that's more intricate than like a labyrinth, you know what I mean? And I'm probably never going to run into a side quest that's like as elaborate as, you know, like maybe the Master Koga side quest or something. You know, like, I've probably I'm kind of just realizing like there's a peak in terms of like part of the fun of the open world game is like you run around everywhere, you can experience all this random stuff, and you can just fall into some really cool stuff, right? But I'm realizing that like 99% of what I'm going to run into is going to be like shrines, Koroks, some cool Sky Island or something, but that's still probably shrine or Korok. Some fun little mini boss, but like they're never really that challenging outside of like some of the, like a Gleeok or a Lionel. Those will still be like a good run for your money. So I'm starting to feel like, I guess I've like initially when you're exploring the world, it's so big and so large, you're getting this huge variety. And then at a certain point, you're kind of realizing like, I just started to realize like, okay, I'm not like, still to me, the most in-depth sort of involved singular experience was back when I did and this is mild spoilers, I guess spoilers, I did the Rito section of the game where you're going up the ships through the sky and then doing the Sky Temple, and I thought that was all phenomenal. I loved that section of the game. I just didn't realize that that's probably the singular peak involved curated gameplay experience, and that everything else is going to be a lot of like shallow content. But still, it was fun shallow content for so many hours. I don't know. I just don't know how to evaluate it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Kid Spicken says, my experience to a T was gassed on side quests and exploring. Wrap up the main quest. It's worth doing. Yeah, I just did the Zora one, and I didn't find that to be that entertaining in itself either. It was close to. It's just that the actual temple, like the island that the Sky Island you do to get to the temple is so much fun, but then the temple itself is bad. The water temple, I forget, I guess it was called. I guess it's just, yeah, like, for so long, you're stumbling upon new side quests and new things to do. And then at a certain point, you realize that everything is only going to be, like, there's a max cap out to how interesting or in-depth any singular thing you run into is going to be. And I guess that's when some of the shine started wearing off. But it took literally 100 plus hours for me to get to a point where I started feeling that way, when the magic started wearing off. One of the things that I think Elden Ring I might enjoy more than Tears of the Kingdom is the fact that Elden Ring is, from what I understand, like, there's, like, a big part of it is obviously the bosses and the difficulty of the bosses. So no matter what, even if you're playing, like, 100 plus hours in the game, you're still going to run into bosses that are going to be, like, deeply engrossing experiences that take up, like, an hour, 2 hours of your time of just, like, really engaging combat, you know, getting it down. And I also, from what I generally understand, a lot of Elden Ring's best bosses you can only even access the later you get into the game. So I know that there's really good stuff that, like, I will still be experiencing the further that I go in the game. Whereas I guess with Tears of the Kingdom, you can do anything from the start, which means that there's no sort of progression, right? So, like, I've been doing all of these side quests, but it's not like that makes it more likely that I'm gonna start finding even more developed or even more challenging stuff down the line, and more intricate stuff, like pieces of content down the line as I go, because everything's available from the start. So, like, pretty much anywhere you look, it's as likely to be interesting as somewhere else on the map. You know what I mean? I don't know. Yeah, Enteranami says those 100 hours were still well spent, but that doesn't take away from the fact that the shiny new WoW factor is worn off, and you're starting to notice its shortcomings and shallowness where it exists. Yeah, I guess you just, as you're playing the game, you just always want to feel like there is better stuff around the corner, right? You don't want to feel like what you're getting is roughly going to be the same level of experience that you're getting all the way through. Like you can play like 200 hours and it's never going to get deeper or more or whatever than what you're doing from the start. And I guess that's where I'm at with Tears of the Kingdom right now, which is just slowly realizing that there's not everything's available from the start, so there's it's not any more likely that I find something more interesting in like this corner of the map than in that corner of the map, you know? Whereas I like to believe that with Elden Ring, later game content is a thing, right? Whereas with Tears of the Kingdom, there's no such thing as later game content, right? Tears of the Kingdom, it's just like everything's the same. I don't know. Anyway. Am I going to beat Elden Ring before... Tala says you can lock yourself out of content in Elden Ring if you're not aware? Oh, shit. I don't like that idea. I don't know. I don't know about that. I know Elden Ring's not perfect either from what people say, but yeah, we'll see. Am I going to beat Elden Ring before the DLC? I'm probably going to just play... I think I'm going to play Elden Ring when the DLC comes out, because so far every Souls game that I played, Dark Souls and Dark Souls 3, the only two I've played them with the DLC already available. And for me, that's a more holistic experience. I don't like the idea of playing a full game through and then sitting and like tapping my feet and waiting for some more content to come out. I just like the idea that I'm playing something that's like a whole piece from the beginning. So I like the idea that I can start Elden Ring up with the full package of what it's going to be, like the full experience, and then play that, you know? One last thing I'll mention is that like there's people that talk about, like, I'm very excited for Elden Ring and the concept of how everything people have said about Elden Ring, and I know that there's flaws or whatever. And what's funny is that I know a lot of people have said like, you know, Elden Ring, it's really good, but honestly it's not as good as like Bloodborne or like Dark Souls 3. And I could believe that, but I think it's not fair. And like people will cite flaws about Elden Ring and stuff like that, so I kind of know the gist of it, and they'll be like, yeah, it's just not as polished as these games or something like that. But I could believe that, but I think it's very unfair, because people also say, and I agree, like the best content for like Dark Souls 3, it's the DLC, like Painted World and the Ring City, right? And most people say the best content for Bloodborne is the DLC. And that's like where the games really hit another level. Like for me, Dark Souls 3 hit another level with the DLC. That's where like the true peak of the game is, in my opinion. So I'm looking at that and I'm just like, well, you're comparing, like, to me, I'm like, the full game of Dark Souls 3 is including the Ring City and the Painted World. My evaluation of Dark Souls 3 would be very different if it didn't have those pieces of DLC, right? So to me, it's just like, well, it's not even fair to compare Elden Ring to like Bloodborne, Dark Souls 3, and stuff like that just yet, because the game's not even complete. I view the DLC, like the way FromSoft approaches DLC, I view the DLC as the true completion of the game, you know? So Elden Ring could come out with a DLC that's so good that it fixes all of the flaws that people think they have with the game, and I'm like you're like, Elden Ring's being thrown into the ring with a handicap, right? And many people, I think most people already think that Elden Ring's like the best of the FromSoft games, but like maybe the majority think that, but there are people who say that it's got flaws, etc., not quite as good as like Bloodborne, Dark Souls 3, or whatever. I'm just like, dude, like the game's not even over yet. Like they haven't even done the best part. Like you're getting, like those games have a those games get their boost, like their DLC boost, right? Where they really got to fix everything and do the perfect experience or whatever. And you're evaluating those games off of that, and you're pointing at Elden Ring's flaws. I'm like, they got the DLCs where they got to fix all of the little things that people didn't like about the games and kind of give a perfect final package, you know? So to me, it's just like you can't even. It's not even fair to do a tier list or a ranking of where Elden Ring falls until we get the full DLC, because you're comparing games that get the DLC against a game that hasn't gotten to do its DLC just yet. Alright, guys. I think I'm going to call stream here. Yeah, I think I'm going to call the stream here. And yeah, thanks everyone for dropping in. It was a really good time. Really good chapter, obviously. And yeah, let's lock in for this long-ass break. Streams will continue as usual. We'll have Monday streams, and I think on Fridays I'll do some variety-type streams. So stay